Welcome to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Chapter 1, Traveling Through Time and Becoming Gojo Satoru's Younger Brother. He almost died in the hands of Gojo Satoru. Today is a day that the entire Jujutsu world will remember. Six Eyes, the pupil of the sky, appears again. At this moment, there was silence inside Gojo's house, one of the big three sorcerer families in the Jujutsu world. Everyone stared at the two identical babies on the bed with their mouths wide open, but could not say a word. Six Eyes. This is the moment when the first baby is born and opens his eyes, everyone agrees. These are a pair of beautiful eyes that are like the sky extending into the distance. These are a pair of pale blue eyes with white mist. The entire Jujutsu world is a rare occurrence in a century, and only one case in hundreds of years may appear. This is a special trait inherited from the Gojo family. 360-degree long-distance vision, you can see from behind and you can see from a long distance away. When the first baby boy opened his eyes, everyone was extremely excited. The Gojo family had been silent for long enough. Six Eyes is a certain future for the Gojo family. However, when the second baby boy opened his eyes and revealed identical eyes, everyone could only fall silent. The same Six Eyes, the same pupil of the sky. If a baby boy is a surprise to the Gojo family, then the second baby boy with six eyes is a shock to the Gojo family. In the Jujutsu world, twins can be regarded as a curse for the family, and can even be regarded as a bad omen. Because twins are twins of destiny. Although they are independent, they are related to each other and influence each other. If they were just ordinary people, this might be a good sign, but among the sorcerer family, this basically represents the mediocrity of two people. But now, for two newborns with the eyes of heaven, they are more likely to influence each other. Everyone subconsciously looked at the old man in the center of the room, waiting for what decision the old man would make. As if feeling the changes in everyone's movements, the two baby boys actually made the same movements, looking at the old man silently, and the old man's figure was reflected in the eyes of the sky. However, the eyes of the firstborn baby boy were full of indifference, without any curiosity about the world. His identity is very special. He is the chosen one in this world and will become the strongest Jujutsu master in the entire Jujutsu world in the future. The eyes of the other baby boy were filled with relief. He was finally born. His eyes sparkled with a maturity that was not that of a baby. I really didn't expect to travel to the world of Jujutsu Kaisen and become Gojo Satoru's younger brother. The whole pregnancy process seemed like a narrow escape. Although I'm very sorry for what happened to Gojo Satoru, it's not like he traveled through time and became his younger brother, right? This is too much pressure. Lu Ming's heart was filled with emotion. Yes, he is a time traveler who traveled through time and became Gojo Satoru's twin brother. He also possesses the six eyes, and is also expected to be the same as Gojo Satoru. However, in fact, only he knows in his heart that he and Gojo Satoru are completely different. During the pregnancy process, Lu Ming experienced the fear of almost death. He should not have been born. In the original world, Gojo Satoru should not have had a twin brother, and Six Eyes should have had only one pair in the same era. The appearance of Lu Ming broke the original world line and affected the direction of the world. This is not the key, after all, everything has come, right? But the most terrifying thing is that Lu Ming almost died in his mother's womb. In the process of growing up with Gojo Satoru, Gojo Satoru had unintentionally absorbed the magic power in Lu Ming's baby. According to normal development, Lu Ming's power will be absorbed by Gojo Satoru in his mother's womb and disappear completely. However, as a time traveler, Lu Ming awakened the reperfusion system at the most critical moment when he was about to die. With the help of the system, he transformed himself from a Jujutsu master into a death god. Because of this change, Lu Ming was able to survive. However, at the same time, all the remaining magic power in his body was absorbed by Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru is still the Gojo Satoru who is the only one in the world. However, Lu Ming has no talent as a Jujutsu master at all, and has become a baby boy with only the special trait of 6 eyes and carrying heavenly restriction. Of course, this does not include the death fusion system. And all this, from the perspective of outsiders, is a completely different situation. Gojo Satoru, a peerless prodigy with 6 eyes, abundant magical power, and amazing talents. Lu Ming, who has no magic power and cannot become the owner of heavenly restriction as a Jujutsu master, is a loser. These two labels were already placed on each of them the moment they were born. Patriarch, the twins are cursed to the family. Since the one born later cannot feel a trace of the curse, it means that he is the one who was eliminated. The pseudo 6 eyes twin with heavenly restriction is likely to affect the true pupil of the sky. I recommend. A middle-aged man with a stern face walked up to the old man and whispered his opinions without any concealment. Lu Ming felt the murderous intention in his heart, but he was powerless at this time. Although he has a system, he is still a newborn baby after all and has no power to resist an adult at all. Now people are the swordsman, he is the flesh and blood, and their destiny is completely controlled by others. When other people at the scene heard this suggestion, a look of unbearable expression appeared on their faces. Although the twins were a curse to the Jujutsu master family, the children were innocent. However, no one dared to stand up. No one can guarantee whether this fake 6 eyes baby boy with heavenly restriction will affect the real heavenly eyes owners of the Gojo family. Now, all the decisions are placed on the head of the Gojo family. The old man was silent for a moment, then came to the two baby boys and touched their heads with both hands. The owner of the Eye of Heaven should have absolute confidence. The Gojo family is not afraid of curse, which is just a rumor. A kind smile appeared on the old man's face, he looked at the real owner of 6 eyes and said softly, "From now on, your name will be Satoru, Gojo Satoru." Then, he turned to look at Lu Ming and nodded. "You are younger than Satoru. Although you have no magic power, the Gojo family can still give you a world of survival. It's just that if you want to scream, you have to rely on your own power. You are Satoru's younger brother. From now on, you will be called Gojo Naru." Gojo 6 eyes was born again today, but this time, there are 2 6 eyes. The incident of the twin 6 eyes shocked the entire Jujutsu world. But only the senior members of the Gojo family in the room knew that one of the 2 pairs of heavens was a Zibe with no magic power. Lu Ming, and now Gojo Ming calmly breathed a sigh of relief. At least you don't have to face a life crisis right after birth. Satoru, being your brother is really a hell of a start. Fortunately, I am cheating. At the same time, a cold voice sounded in Gojo Ming's mind. Host Gojo Ming was successfully born, the Shinigami fusion system was successfully bound, and a birth gift package was issued, Zanpakuto, Curse Tool, Forging Technique inactive. Chapter 2 System, you broke it before I even started using it? While being carried away by the nanny and leaving the delivery room, Gojo Ming, who had received a new name, was interacting with the system. He knew that as a carrier of heavenly restriction, he would not be taken seriously by the Gojo family at all. In the current Jujutsu world environment, no one will realize the power of heavenly restriction. This phenomenon will continue until Zenon, the tyrant of heaven and earth, makes his name. However, until then, he, the carrier of heavenly restriction, would simply be ignored by his family. At present, everyone in the Gojo family will be happy for the birth of Gojo Satoru, but they only have disgust in their hearts for this baby with pseudo 6 eyes and no magic power, and may even have resentment about why they don't die. However, this does not matter to Lu Ming. As long as you survive, nothing will be a problem. Isn't it just that there is no magic power? Doesn't it mean that you can't become a Jujutsu master? However, don't you still have a system? Moreover, in this world, the holders of heavenly restriction are not good people. Gojo Ming sighed in his heart, since he and Gojo Satoru are twins, then naturally he cannot let his cheap brother be reduced to the point of being cut in half. When I was reading the comics, I was full of regrets about many plots in the story. Now that I have traveled to this world, I must change the world. As for how to change? Well, let's start with the so-called death fusion system in the body. System, can you exchange me for various heaven-defying skills? I can't use Jujutsu, surely you can give me some compensation? Cannot. Can you redeem some magical props? Like the Zanpakuto from the Bleach world? Or something ghostly? Cannot. Then can you issue me a task and let me get a series of rewards after completing it? Cannot. For 3 questions in a row, this mysterious death fusion system gave a negative answer. This made Gojo Ming, who was still a child, very frustrated. Then what use can you have? The system aims to help the host complete the fusion of the death god and the Jujutsu master. It has been confirmed that the host cannot become a Jujutsu master. The ultimate goal of the system cannot be achieved, and the task function and exchange function have been damaged. The remaining functions of the system are as follows: Zanpakuto forging function, Zanpakuto ghost learning function. Gojo Ming felt a little calmer after hearing the system's answer. At least, the system still has some functions that can help him. Zanpakuto and Zankanzuki are both very important things to the Shinigami. It would be great if the system could give itself another Hanjioku. In this way, there should be no crisis in the world of Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo Ming was looking forward to the system's subsequent functions, but to his surprise, after talking about the 2 functions, Lu Ming was shocked to find that the system fell silent. System, continue to explain other functions. Gojo Ming asked in his heart. There are only 2 categories of remaining functions of the system, all of which have been fully explained. The system's response immediately made Gojo Ming's blue eyes sluggish. My golden finger hasn't even started to be used yet, and it's already semi-disabled? There are only 2 functions left? Is it lucky or unlucky for me to have traveled to this Jujutsu Kaisen world? I was very unlucky and died unexpectedly in my previous life, and then I was lucky enough to time travel. He was so unlucky that he was almost absorbed by Gojo Satoru in his mother's womb, but he was lucky enough to survive by awakening his system. Now the system is very unlucky to be left with 2 functions, and then, fortunately, these 2 functions seem to be good. Gojo Ming could only comfort himself like this. Modern people don't dare to say that they have ever been successful in the workplace without mastering some self-pua abilities. But, no matter what, the core system of the Shinigami world, the Zanpakuto still has its functions, right? This Zanpakuto alone will give me a lot of help in the future. He is the holder of heavenly restriction, and cursed tool is his core. And, the Zanpakuto he forges in the future will undoubtedly be his core cursed tool. Forget it. This is already very good. People are not satisfied with the snake swallowing the elephant. Zanpakuto and Zankanzuki can still be used, which is already very good. System, how should I forge a Zanpakuto? Host, the Zanpakuto forging function has not been activated yet. Please have a forging tool of your own first. Ha! You even need real forging tools? Can't you use your mind to rub the Zanpakuto? Please first have a forging tool of your own. The system responded mechanically. Gojo Ming felt very helpless. Then tell me, how can I activate the 4 skills that the god of death must master, Jean Fist Jean Gui? It is detected that the host does not currently have the conditions to learn how to slay fists and walk away ghosts, so it cannot be turned on. Please explore by yourself later. Gojo Ming's heart was filled with helplessness. This is too scary. I am just a child. I don't know how old I will have to wait until I actually own a forging tool. And I don't know the conditions for slaying the fist and walking away the ghost. If I have to explore it by myself, isn't it going to end my life? Gojo Ming really wanted to complain, but the system couldn't respond at all. Is this the beginning of my new world? It's really a surprise, but also a scare. Six Eyes, twins. These two words are strung together, and the entire Jujutsu world is boiling. Although the Gojo family does not deliberately promote it, as one of the big three sorcerer families, their every move is observed by the entire Jujutsu world. Six Eyes, this kind of thing is too shocking. Not long after Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru were born, the Zenin and Kumo families already knew the news. When they heard that the two baby boys were both Six Eyes, the two clan leaders immediately fell into silence, and the atmosphere in the entire clan seemed very depressing. The Gojo family, the Zenin family and the Kumo family are known as the three major families in the Jujutsu world. They are called the big three sorcerer families by many Jujutsu masters and are the mainstay of the entire Jujutsu world. However, the three major families also have their own competitions. Now, two Six Eyes of the Gojo family are born, which means that for a long time in the future, the two major families will not be able to compete with them in terms of heirs. It's too scary. The twin Six Eyes, if the source of the news wasn't very reliable, I would even suspect that this is fake news. Now we can only hope that the Six Eyes twins of the Gojo family will influence each other. Will the twins with Six Eyes also have the twin Jujutsu master curse? Zenin's old master looked very helpless. I am already quite old, and I have obviously managed to raise the power of the Zenin family to the highest level. I never thought that such a big thing would happen in the last days of my life. Although, I may not be able to live until the Gojo family Six Eyes has grown up, and I will not be able to see the decline of the Zenin family. However, seeing the threat to the Gojo family getting bigger day by day, it was impossible for him to rest peacefully. On the other hand, the head of the Kumo family was even more depressed. Originally, the Kumo family did not have a strong say among the three major families, and he had always wanted to change the situation through hard work. However, now, with the birth of two Six Eyes from the Gojo family, the confidence of the head of the Kumo family has been severely damaged. Did the Gojo family save Amaterasu? They were able to get two Six Eyes at the same time. These are Six Eyes. Even if they are twins, they will probably stand at the top of Jujutsu masters in the future. The head of the Kumo family can only hope that the descendants of the Kumo family can be more diligent and produce users of the red blood manipulation technique with higher talent. Chapter 3 Gojo Satoru's Guild. 6 years later. Ming, do you want to go out to play? A boy with white hair, white eyelashes, and a pair of blue eyes looked at his younger brother curiously, wondering what his younger brother was thinking about every day. Although many people in the family said that Gojo Ming would hinder their future and told them not to have contact with him. However, Gojo Satoru has his own ideas. He has unusual feelings for his twin brother who is exactly the same as himself. Although this younger brother cannot use spells and has heavenly restriction, this does not prevent him from showing his care as an older brother. Satoru, are you sure the head of the family will let you go out to play? The two of us are on the dark web, but there is a very high reward. If you escape secretly and go out to play, you may cause trouble for the family. Gojo Ming glanced at his cheap brother. He was already used to Gojo Satoru's out-of-the-box character. Gojo Satoru, Gojo Ming, the two children of the Gojo family, have been posted with a reward of 100 million on the dark web. This kind of reward is too tempting, so it also attracts many Jujutsu masters who overestimate their abilities. It is nonsense for a BD Jujutsu master to break through the Gojo family's protection. The truly powerful upper-class Jujutsu masters know that these bounties are simply traps. The importance of Six Eyes to the Gojo family is self-evident. They represent the future of the Gojo family, so the Gojo family will do their best to protect the Six Eyes. There was no way they could have access to Gojo Satoru under these circumstances. Moreover, even if they really had a chance to kill Six Eyes of the Gojo family, they would not be able to escape alive due to the angry counterattack of the Gojo family. Therefore, as Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming grow older, there are fewer and fewer attempted assassinations against them. Now, Gojo Satoru, who has a free-spirited personality, wants to get rid of the protection of his family and go out with Gojo Ming. After all, both of them have 6 eyes. Yes, both of them have 6 eyes. Although Gojo Naru's 6 eyes is not as comprehensive as Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes, it still has the basic function of a 360-degree viewing angle. With the two of them together, basically anyone who has murderous intentions towards them will appear in their sight without hiding. Satoru, I know that you have basically mastered the unlimited technique. So, you want to show off, ignore those killers at all, and even want to get in touch with those killers in person, right? Gojo Ming's expression was a little helpless. Although Gojo Satoru's talent is unprecedented, he is still just a child after all, and his personality is not very mature. After learning something new, I always want to show it off. He is an adult, but he has no idea of showing off. If showing off requires putting himself in danger, then this makes Gojo Ming want to refuse. But, 5 minutes later, Gojo Satoru directly carried Gojo Naru over the wall and jumped out. Gojo Ming's loveless expression completely showed what he was thinking at this time. Gojo Satoru, you guy. Do you have to squander your talents? There are things you will regret in the future. You are treating me like this, be careful. I will not help you make up for your regrets in the future. I will let you end up being cut in half. Damn, Gojo Satoru, you're carrying me like this, I don't want to lose face, right? If I didn't have the power of magic, the power of heavenly restriction would not be fully developed, and you might be the one who is unable to fight back now. Gojo Ming's heart was filled with complaints about his own system. It has been 6 years, and he has not yet successfully activated his Zanpakuto ability. The so-called Zanpakuto ghost walking function has been pretending to be dead within the system. If the system didn't respond to him every time, Gojo Ming would really feel like he got a fake system. Subscribe to Chinese novel Audio Wave. As the body grows, the physical strengthening brought by heavenly restriction has begun to take effect, but the death fusion system still has no effect. If this broken system hadn't saved his life when he was born, Gojo Ming would have really wanted to give up. He is aware of the development of the entire Jujutsu Kaisen world. He has heavenly restriction and does not have any magic power, but he has the same talent as Future Sky and the Tyrant Zenon. As long as you concentrate on your practice, you might not be able to become another deity and tyrant. Maybe, in the future, I still don't know who is stronger or weaker between myself and Gojo Satoru. Of course, all of this is just Gojo Ming's inner complaints. Anyway, at the moment, Gojo Satoru, who has mastered unlimited techniques, is completely beating Gojo Ming. When will I be able to build my Zanpakuto? When I have a Zanpakuto, I will use it to slash you first, Satoru. Gojo Satoru, who was thrown directly to the ground by Gojo Satoru, had resentment in his eyes. He looked at Gojo Satoru who was standing beside him coolly, but he could only fall to the ground. Such a posture was not cool. In this way, the Gojo twins, 2 identical 6-eyes teenagers, left the Gojo family alone. Naru, it doesn't matter if you don't have magic power. I'll go back and help you find a way to become a Jujutsu master. It's just magic power and techniques. Trust me, brother. Gojo Satoru didn't understand the situation of heavenly restriction at this time, so he always felt sorry for Gojo Ming. 6-eyes are not ordinary people. They are born with basic consciousness and super memory. Therefore, Gojo Satoru clearly remembers what he did to Gojo Ming in his mother's womb, and also knows the reason why Gojo Ming has no magic power in his body. Gojo Satoru knew that there was magic power in Gojo Ming's previous body. Moreover, the intensity of the spell is similar to his own. It is entirely because of thoughts that he could not control at the beginning that he forcibly absorbed Gojo Ming's spell power, causing Gojo Ming to end up with no spell power. In the entire Jujutsu world, almost everyone has the power of magic. It is very rare to be completely unaware of the existence of magic power after birth like Gojo Naru. Because there is no magic power, Gojo Ming does not have the unique talent of the Gojo family such as unlimited spells like Gojo Satoru. If curse power is compared to electricity, then the magic that everyone is born with is an electrical appliance that can produce various effects by pouring electricity into it. To explain it in words that time travelers can understand better, the power of the spell is equivalent to the chakra in Naruto, and the techniques are equivalent to ninjutsu, but the techniques in Jujutsu Kaisen are basically innate abilities, almost it cannot be understood through acquired practice or other means, so it is also called the Shen technique. Because he knew that Gojo Ming could have the same future as him, Gojo Satoru always felt sorry for Gojo Ming. That's why he repeatedly emphasized to the family's senior management not to have contact with Gojo Ming. Still, he went his own way and still didn't give up on Gojo Ming. Satoru, don't worry too much. It's fine without the curse. Gojo Naru smiled slightly. He was actually very happy in his heart. Fortunately, Gojo Satoru absorbed his own spell and became the owner of Heavenly Restriction. If this thing hadn't happened, they might have been replicas of Zenin Maki and Zenin Mai in the future. Both of their magical powers and physical talents may not be able to be used to their full potential. Chapter 4 200 million Reward. Just want to assassinate Six Eyes? Gojo Ming stood up and patted the dust on his butt, ready to continue to comfort Gojo Satoru, but then a trace of amusement appeared on his face. Satoru, it seems that someone is really cooperating with you. It's your time to perform. Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming glanced at each other, and they both understood that they had discovered the Jujutsu master hidden in the distance. Well, Ming, it seems you haven't given up on the development of Six Eyes. To each other. Realizing that an attack was about to occur, Gojo Satoru's character instantly jumped out even more. Today, he was going to show off the unlimited techniques he had mastered in front of Gojo Ming. We must use this exciting trick to arouse Gojo Ming's fighting spirit and stimulate Gojo Ming's idea of becoming a Jujutsu master, so as to prevent Gojo Ming from failing every day. Gojo Ming knew what Gojo Satoru was thinking, but he couldn't say it clearly. He could only stand beside him silently, waiting for his cheap brother's performance. In the distance, a middle-aged Jujutsu master stared sharply at Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming. He did not expect to see his bounty target when he tentatively came near the Gojo family mansion. What made Ere Haruki even more excited was that the two Six Eyes from Gojo's family actually ran away without anyone following them. With the strength of a second-level Jujutsu master, he has confidence in his own strength. As long as he is given enough preparation time, he will definitely be able to kill Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru. Haruki Ere is a new assassin who has gained a reputation throughout the dark web. He has successfully completed difficult assassination bounties many times, which has caused his heart to feel very swollen at this time. By assassinating two Six Eyes, I can directly obtain a bounty of 200 million. I will definitely be the ace killer of the dark web in the future. Saijing Yanghui maintained his inner emotions and took out a dark purple dagger from his arms. Yaning, this is the first level cursed tool dagger he accidentally discovered. As long as the skin is slightly scratched by Yaning, the injured person's blood will coagulate and die. This is the fundamental reason why he can complete many high-priced rewards. Cursed tool Yaning paired with his own unique Jujutsu, this is the fundamental reason why Ere Haruki is confident to complete the bounty. Breaking the sky, the name of Ere Haruki's technique. As long as he is given enough time to prepare, he can break the space, probe the body parts into the void that no one can perceive, and appear at the other end of the broken space at the same time. In short, he can reach out into the sky and wave the cursed tool night condensation 500 meters away from Gojo's house. His arm will be separated from his body. between Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming appears from behind and attacks the target secretly. Countless powerful people died under the strange spell of Ere Yanghui without any intention. Ere Haruki stared intently at Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, and Breaking Sky had been opened. Cursed Tool Yanning and his arms have reached into the sky. I accepted the 200 million with a smile. Saijing Yanghui grinned widely and waved his right hand violently. The arm that appeared behind Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru through Breaking Sky and the cursed tool Yanning waved violently. However, the next second, Saijing Yanghui was shocked. Because, he found that Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, whom he had always regarded as prey, turned their heads to look in his direction at the same time, with expressions on their faces full of amusement. It was as if these two people had always known that they were here. Damn it, what happened? When death is imminent, you still show such an expression. Although he was shocked by the expressions of the Gojo brothers, Ere Haruki was still not ready to stop. In his opinion, this blow was inevitable. However, the moment Cursed Tool Yanning was about to stab the target, he suddenly felt a strong repulsive force on his right arm. No matter how hard he tried, Yanning could not take a step forward. No lower limit defense, open. Gojo Satoru, who had seen Haruki Are's attack preparations at the first sight, had already prepared for unlimited defense. While blocking Cursed Tool Yanning, Gojo Satoru also explained to Gojo Ming very thoughtfully. This is no lower limit defense. It is the basic application of Gojo's no lower limit technique. To put it simply, the closer all the techniques are to the initiator, the slower they will be, and finally achieve a static effect, making the attack permanent. The body of the person who initiated the spell cannot be touched. How about it, Ming, isn't it cool? Do you want to learn? Gojo Ming twitched his lips and clapped perfunctorily. Wow, Satoru, it's really amazing. Don't I know how powerful the unlimited technique is? But, it's a pity that I don't have magic power, woo. Fortunately, I am a time traveler, I know the power of heavenly restriction, and I also know how to use it in the future. If I were really your aboriginal brother, I would definitely be so angry with you that I would become autistic. Hey, Satoru, if you can't find a solution, don't make any promises. Although you will be the strongest Jujutsu master in the future, you cannot change heavenly restriction. After complaining to Gojo Satoru in his heart, Gojo Naru reached out and patted Ere Haruki's right hand that protruded from Breaking Sky, and then easily took Cursed Tool Yanning out of his hand. Because he possesses the Zanpakuto, Cursed Tool, forging technique, Gojo Ming is still aware of the power of this cursed tool. Although the blacksmithing technique has not been activated yet, it does not prevent him from studying some knowledge related to Cursed Tool. In the distance, Ere Haruki stared at Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming in shock, not knowing what was going on. The next second, a middle-aged man with a bare upper body, muscles like rocks, and a hammer appeared next to Ere Yanghui. The first time he saw this man, Ere Yanghui felt an extremely powerful sense of oppression. It was clear that the man in front of him was not more powerful than himself, but he had no intention of resisting in his heart. If you resist, you will die. This is the only thought in Saijing Yanghui's heart at the moment. Misunderstand. Saijing Yanghui still wanted to struggle. But the middle-aged man in front of him had a face full of disdain, and he slammed the hammer down, knocking Ere Yanghui unconscious to the ground. This new hot killer on the dark web was controlled outside Gojo's house. Wu, Ming, you two are just running around. The head of the family is very angry. If I hadn't felt the fluctuation of the spell, I wouldn't have known you were near me. The middle-aged man held the hammer in his right hand and dragged Ere Haruki to Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru with his left hand. Ming, give me that cursed tool, too. It's not something you should play with at your age. The middle-aged man glanced at Gojo Ming and distinguished the two people with one glance. Chapter 5 Cursed Tool Master. Uncle Zhou, yeah, I am Ming, and the one holding the cursed tool is Satoru. Gojo Satoru deliberately imitated Gojo's voice, referring to his voice as enlightenment. He was very unconvinced why Gojo's voice could easily distinguish them from each other every time. Besides, he is just an ordinary killer. Satoru can already use unlimited spells to protect me. Gojo Satoru seemed to be pretending to be addicted, and his tone sounded very certain. Gojo Takai touched his unshaven chin, his face full of playfulness, and his two thick arms stretched directly to the sides of Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, one on the left and the other on the right, and hugged the two children at once. You still say you are Naru? Satoru, your muscles are not as strong as Naru's. Although you are extremely talented in Jujutsu, you still have to exercise your body. After saying that, Gojo's boy looked at Gojo Ming sitting on his left arm. Why did you sneak out with Satoru today? Gojo Takai's face was a little doting, and he obviously showed a different emotion than when he treated Gojo Satoru. Gojo's boy is the cursed tool forger of the Gojo family. Many cursed tools used by the Gojo clan come from his hands. However, in the world of Jujutsu, the profession of cursed tool master is completely inferior to that of Jujutsu master. Generally, only those with weak spell power in the family and those without the talent of a Jujutsu master will switch to this profession. Therefore, Gojo's boy has basically never seen anyone take the initiative to be interested in cursed tool forging. To his surprise, Gojo Ming took the initiative to follow him after he was able to move on his own, expressing his desire to learn cursed tool forging from him. Although everyone said that Gojo Naru's eyes were fake six eyes, after all, Gojo Naru was considered the legitimate son of the Gojo family, and it was quite unexpected that he was willing to get in touch with cursed tool forging. What Gojo's boy naturally didn't know was that the fundamental reason why Gojo Ming contacted him was to obtain a forging tool. He must have a forging tool to activate the Zanpakuto forging function in the system. So, when he got his first hammer as a gift at the age of 3, he was extremely excited. However, what he didn't expect was that this Zanpakuto forging function would require him to slowly improve his forging skills. In this way, after following Gojo's boy for such a long time, Gojo Ming finally improved his forging skills to the critical level. As long as there is another opportunity, he should be able to reach the standard to activate the Zanpakuto forging function. Gojo Ming sat on Gojo's boy's arm, looked at the cursed tool master who had been teaching him, and responded politely. Master Zhou Ye, I didn't want to come out at all. Today I was dragged out by Wu. He has mastered the unlimited technique, so I can't beat him at all. After saying that, Gojo Ming jumped off Zhou Ye's arm and handed the cursed tool in his hand to Gojo Zhou Ye. Master, this cursed tool seems to be very special and of high quality. Zhou Ye took the cursed tool and nodded. The cursed tool Yanning was created by a cursed tool master. I never expected that it would fall into the hands of this person. Gojo Takai kicked Ori Haruki, who fainted on the ground, and continued to speak. Ming, you should also become a cursed tool master in the future. I have this confidence in you. You can also forge a cursed tool like Yanning in the future. However, this cursed tool cannot be given to you for the time being. Although it is your trophy, you are still too young now. Gojo's boy put the cursed tool Yanning into his own clothes. Then, he put Gojo Satoru down, and just when he was about to speak, another Jujutsu master from the Gojo family, Gojo, appeared in front of the three of them. Master Wu, are you okay? Gojo's expression turned displeased. Gojo Shunichi is Gojo Satoru's guard captain and has always been responsible for guarding Gojo Satoru's safety. This time, because he was called by the clan leader to explain some things, he temporarily left Gojo Satoru for a while, causing Gojo Satoru to find a gap to escape. After coming back, Shinyi felt very nervous when he saw that Gojo Satoru was missing. Feeling the fluctuation of spell power outside the mansion, he came here immediately. Seeing Gojo Satoru with Gojo Ming and Gojo Takai, his expression was very dissatisfied. Because of his love for Gojo Satoru, he was very resistant to Gojo Satoru coming to find Gojo Ming. He is a firm believer in the Gemini curse theory. He feels that as long as Gojo Ming is close to Gojo Satoru, it will affect Gojo Satoru's growth. Master Wu, what happened here? Gojo Shinyi frowned and moved directly to Gojo Satoru's side, separating Gojo Ming and Gojo Takai, his face full of vigilance. It's just an assassination. It's nothing, don't be nervous, Shinyi. Gojo Satoru shrugged, pushed Gojo away instantly, and patted Gojo Naru's shoulder. Ming, it seems that our escape plan failed today. Not only was it discovered by Uncle Zhou, but it was also found by Shinyi. Gojo Satoru's tone was still frivolous, but he also knew that they would go back to the mansion next. Well, it looks like it failed. However, this is not my plan, it is your own plan, Satoru. I know my situation, and I will not just think about showing off my abilities like you. Please pay attention to your safety. Satoru, although your talents are outstanding, after all, you are not invincible yet. Gojo Naru thought of the scene where Gojo Satoru was cut in half by Sukuna in the future, and his expression suddenly became dark. I don't want this cheap brother to end up like that again in the future. Therefore, every time we meet, he will subtly influence Gojo Satoru's character, hoping that he can become more calm. However, what Gojo Naru didn't realize was that his preaching to Gojo Satoru was completely disrespectful to Six Eyes in Gojo Shinyi's eyes. A mere fake Six Eyes, without any magical power, what qualifications does he have to educate the real Six Eyes? Master Wu. Let's go back. The master of the family is looking for you. Gojo Shunichi respectfully conveyed the instructions of the head of the Gojo family to Gojo Satoru. Hey, I know. Ming, I'm going back first, and I'll come and play with you when I have the chance. Gojo Satoru shook his head helplessly and left with Gojo Shunichi. The moment Gojo Satoru turned around, Gojo's expression suddenly turned disdainful, and his eyes looking at Gojo Naru were full of ridicule. Even Gojo's Woi on the side was completely ignored by Gojo Shinyi. Leave the assassin to me. If you dare to assassinate near the Gojo family's residence, it seems that the pressure the Gojo family puts on the Darnet is still too light. As Gojo Shinyi completely took over the assassination incident, Gojo Ming and Gojo's Woi became completely outsiders. Chapter 6 Gojo's Woi, Chicken Soup Master. Looking at Gojo Shinyi's leaving back and feeling Gojo Shinyi's differential treatment, Gojo's Woi clenched the hammer in his right hand with a trace of sadness in his eyes. As a member of the Gojo family, although he knew that it was not right to treat him differently, he could not change it. Gojo's Woi touched Gojo Ming's white hair, stared into Gojo Ming's blue eyes, and said in a deep voice. Naru, you know what? The entire Gojo family is like a big tree. Jujutsu masters are the trunk of this big tree, and those of us who don't have the talent of Jujutsu masters are the branches and leaves of the big tree. Only when everyone fulfills their duties can the big tree of the Gojo family flourish. The power of spells and spells are destiny destined by God. No one can change it. From the moment you are born, you cannot complain. Gojo's Woi does not want Gojo Ming to have other unrealistic ideas. Although Gojo Ming has excellent forging talent, in this world dominated by Jujutsu masters, the influence of the cursed tool forger is not worth mentioning at all. Although Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru are both legitimate sons and have the right to compete for the head of the family, in the future, the actual representative of the Gojo family can only be Gojo Satoru. Therefore, Gojo's Woi must make Gojo Ming recognize the reality. The Gojo family protects many Gojo people, and at the same time, the Gojo people can only follow the rules specified by the Gojo family. I know, Master Zhou. Gojo Ming knew that Gojo's Woi cooked this bowl of chicken soup for his own good, and he had never thought about competing with Gojo Satoru for anything. However, it's really uncomfortable to be treated differently like this. Although I don't have the talent for magic, I can't say who will be stronger in the future. The death system in your body is not just for free. When he forges a Zanpakuto, masters the 4 skills of Zanpakuto, and becomes a qualified Shinigami, then Satoru, the strongest Jujutsu master, may not be his opponent. Oh, by the way. In a few days, someone from the Zenin family will come to visit the Gojo family. Gojo's voice seemed to suddenly remember something and said to Gojo Ming. I heard before that the Zenin family also has a carrier of heavenly restriction. However, although he is your generation, he is older than you. It seems that the name is Zenin. I should also come to visit this time. After all, it is an exchange between peers. Ming, you can also communicate with this heavenly restriction carrier. I heard that although that person has no spell power, he is actually very strong and very talented. The Gojo family and the Zenin family are both famous families in the Jujutsu world. You should work hard. Heavenly restriction is not a curse. As long as you want to become stronger, nothing can stop you. Gojo's boy is still so good at making chicken soup, but the information he brought this time made Gojo Ming's expression change slightly. What the hell? Zenin. He is the same generation as me and you want me to compete with him? Oh, indeed, although Zenin looks older, he is indeed as senior as himself. However, that is the tyrant of heaven and earth. Gojo Satoru almost died in his hands before he was fully awakened. The special level Jujutsu master is not a threat in front of Zenin. Although Gojo Ming is confident enough in his own system, he is also very sad when he hears Gojo Zhouye standing and talking without pain. However, since the master has spoken, he must work hard, at least not to disappoint the master. Okay, Master Zhouye. I will work hard. At this moment, Zenin Shi'er should not have reached the level of being a tyrant in the future, and he has not yet left Zenin's house. He should still be able to communicate well. According to the original plot, apart from Zenin, there is no one in the Zenin family who can compete with the Gojo family. Among the younger generation, Gojo Ming has basically never heard of a few famous figures. As the carrier of heavenly restriction, Zenin didn't even receive much attention in the Zenin family. According to the original plot arrangement, Zenin should be the first character to become famous through heavenly restriction. Before him, there were many carriers of heavenly restriction. However, only Zenin is the most special one. Before Gojo Ming was born, Zenin was the only one who had no magic power. However, in the future, it is precisely because of heavenly restriction's physical compensation that Zenin will be able to become a true Jujutsu master killer. However, on the other hand, although the Gojo family occupies a very large space in the entire story, in fact, except for the birth of Six Eyes, basically no other characters appear. The only genius, Gojo Satoru, has the aura of a natural protagonist, but later he ends up being cut in half, which completely makes Gojo Naru, the reader, very unhappy. But no matter what, now that he exists, everything will change. Wouldn't Gojo Satoru be cut in half? What if I gave him a powerful Zanpakuto? Will Gojo Satoru, who possesses a top-notch curse tool like his Zanpakuto, end up like a clown? Moreover, he will also have a Zanpakuto and Zankinzuki in his hands in the future, plus he is familiar with the future. If he cannot become a strong man who affects the world, then he might as well be accidentally killed by Gojo Satoru in his mother's womb. Seeing Gojo Ming's expression slowly become firm, Gojo's voice seemed to see another pillar of Gojo's family, and a smile appeared on his face. Ming, you are also the holder of Six Eyes. You will definitely not be any worse than Wu in the future. Let's go to the forge and let me see your recent growth. After saying that, Gojo's boy turned around and walked into the Gojo family mansion, heading towards the forge that he had been operating for these years. Gojo Ming was thinking about his recent breakthrough in forging level and the upcoming Zanpakuto forging function, and he just wanted to take this opportunity to see if he could achieve a breakthrough and directly start his cursed tool forging career. Master Zhou, you have to watch carefully. Gojo Ming held the hammer that Gojo Zui gave him when he was 3 years old, and made a gesture about to forge it. Humph, brat, after all, I am also the master who taught you forging. How could I be surprised by you? Gojo Zui thinks he knows Gojo Ming's forging skills very well. Although Gojo Ming is very talented in cursed tool forging, after all, he is only a 6-year-old kid now. Could it be said that a 6-year-old kid can forge cursed tool? This kind of thing is impossible even if you think about it, right? Chapter 7 Sode Shirayuki is born, and the function of slashing fists and walking away ghosts is activated. Forging cursed tool at the age of 6, it is impossible to think about it. Ding dong dong dong. Gojo shouted softly and slammed down the hammer in his hand. The powerful physical strength given to him by heavenly restriction allows him to forge freely with his 6-year-old body. The strength is good. But the rhythm is not good enough. Gojo Zui nodded secretly. Although he said this verbally, he was very satisfied in his heart. Ming, we need to increase the speed here. Ming, you have to learn to control your strength. Ming, don't be impatient in forging. Gojo Zui kept pointing out Gojo Ming's current problems, but at the same time he became more and more surprised. What's the situation? How did Ming's forging level improve so quickly? Gojo Ming concentrated on forging, but he was also following Gojo Zui's suggestions and constantly improving. The proficiency of the forging skills increased unknowingly. Without Gojo Ming noticing, the smoothness of the forging skills had reached the requirement to activate the Zanpakuto forging function. The prerequisites for detecting the host are met, and the Zanpakuto, cursed tool, forging function is enabled. Gojo Ming, who was focused on forging at this time, did not pay attention to the prompts given by the system. He devoted himself wholeheartedly to the forging process, and with the assistance of system functions, he continued to improve his forging skills. The little ghosts nowadays are really scary. We can't underestimate them. Facing Gojo Ming's skillful forging skills, Gojo Zui's expression became more and more solemn. He had a hunch that if Gojo Ming continued forging like this, perhaps Gojo Ming could really forge the number 1 craftsman at the age of 6. Put the cursed tool. Suddenly, Gojo Zui's eyes narrowed slightly, staring directly at Gojo Ming's waving movements. Because he saw that Gojo Ming's hammering technique was exactly the same as the one he used when forging the cursed tool. What's happening here? With Ming's current body and strength, it is impossible for him to be able to support this hammering technique. What's the reason, and what's going on with Ming's body and hammering proficiency? We can no longer let Ming continue to forge like this. His current body will be overdrawn if it continues like this. Gojo Zui was about to take action to stop Gojo Ming's next move, but in the next second, his body froze, and he was unable to move under Gojo Ming's indomitable forging momentum. Ding! Ding dang! Ding dang ding dang dash! With the crisp hammering sound, Gojo Ming's hammering speed became faster and faster, sweat had soaked his clothes, and steam enveloped Gojo Ming's whole body. What exactly happened? Gojo, who was in shock, was ready to burst out with rare magical power. He released gray-blue light from his hands, trying to stop it forcibly. However, what surprised him was that the magic power he was bound to win was like hitting cotton, unable to affect Gojo Ming at all. In fact, he couldn't even stop Gojo's movements. Under the sound of hammering, Gojo Ming subconsciously picked up the cursed tool Yanning that Gojo Zhouye had put aside before, and put it directly into the embryo he forged. Ming, are you really planning to forge cursed tool? What kind of forging technique is this? Are you planning to borrow the existing cursed tool and directly fuse it and recreate it? After all, Gojo Satoru is also the forging master of Cursed Tool. Although he has never seen this forging method, he can roughly guess what Gojo Ming is thinking. However, when he actually saw Gojo Ming doing this, he still felt that his imagination was somewhat subverted. In front of the blazing furnace, Gojo Satoru could actually feel the slightest chill from this cursed tool. What happened? Why is there such a cold frost attribute? So that's it, Yaning's attribute is ice. The ability to coagulate blood all over the body comes from the frost attribute in the body. Gojo Satoru suddenly realized that although he was also a forging master, he didn't know much about this weapon before studying Yaning carefully. And Gojo Ming actually knew the properties of this weapon just after touching it. That's why you dare to put Yaning into the weapon embryo so casually. Isn't this too scary? Could it be that I haven't fully discovered Gojo Ming's talent in cursed tool forging before? Gojo Satoru opened his mouth wide, but he did not dare to make a sound for fear of affecting Gojo Ming's cursed tool forging. He realized that in the next time, he might see a new cursed tool that subverts the entire cursed tool forging world. At the same time, Gojo Ming, who devoted himself wholeheartedly to the forging of cursed tool, frowned, and his childish face was covered with sweat, but he didn't know it. He has been completely immersed in cursed tool forging. In other words, at this moment, he has been possessed by Soul Society's sword god Namiya Oue. At this moment, he is the sword god who forges all Zanpakuto. The frost and cold air in Yaning's body continued to merge with the embryo forged by Gojo Ming, and a brand new knife had begun to take shape. After an hour of clanging hammer blows, Gojo Ming finally forged the first Zanpakuto. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully forging the Zanpakuto Sode Shirayuki and successfully activating the Zanpakuto Sode Shirayuki function. Zu Fist and Walking Ghost. Cut refers to the way of the sword, fist refers to the white strike, walk refers to the instant step, and ghost refers to the ghost way. After the function of killing fists and walking away ghosts is turned on, the host is asked to improve accordingly in order. Every time the current skill reaches 100% proficiency, the next skill can be turned on. As of now, all functions of the system have been enabled. The subsequent functions have been damaged, please repair them and then look for opening conditions. Listening to the notification sound in his mind, Gojo Ming suddenly felt relaxed, and then he felt a sense of fatigue all over his body. With his current 6-year-old body, even with the strengthening of the body by heavenly restriction, such a long period of hard forging has consumed all his current energy. It turns out that the condition for turning on the Zanpakuto function is to successfully forge a Zanpakuto. It turns out that the damaged skills of the system can still be repaired. I don't know how to fix it, but it's good to have hope. Fortunately, the first Zanpakuto was successfully forged. Sure enough, it's exactly what I imagined. This lightning can provide ice attribute power to the Zanpakuto, Sode Shirayuki. Although he is not the strongest ice-attributed Zanpakuto Hiranmaru in Soul Society, Sode Shirayuki is already very good. I really want to see with my own eyes what this most beautiful Zanpakuto looks like. Although Gojo Naru wanted to see Sode Shirayuki with his own eyes, the feeling of exhaustion had begun to invade his brain. He glanced at Gojo Satoru beside him and wanted to speak, but the next second, he fell asleep. Chapter 8 Unpretentious. This is Sode Shirayuki. Ding dong. Gojo's hammer slipped from his hand, and the sound of gold and iron finally woke up Gojo Satoru, who was completely shocked. Ming, be careful. Gojo Satoru quickly ducked to catch Gojo Ming, who almost fell to the ground, and carefully placed him on the bed beside him. Looking at his apprentice's pale face, Gojo Satoru had a trace of distress on his face, and at the same time he secretly made up his mind. Gojo Ming is too young, and he must not be allowed to overuse his energy to forge cursed tool like this. Although a 6-year-old cursed tool forger would definitely shock the entire Jujutsu world, Gojo Takai still didn't want Gojo Ming to become famous because of this incident. In his opinion, Gojo Ming is also six eyes, and the profession of cursed tool master is never the right path. I don't know why, but at the first sight of Gojo Ming, Gojo Takai felt that this little boy would definitely leave a mark in the entire Jujutsu world in the future. After settling Gojo Ming, Gojo Zui once again returned his attention to the cursed tool forged by Gojo Ming. Seeing the appearance of this knife, Gojo Zui was stunned. What's happening here? Who changed the weapon? It was obviously not like this before. When the forging was successful, this cold knife was obviously pure white. Why does it look no different from an ordinary samurai sword now? Gojo Zui's heart is full of doubts. Although he is not very strong in spell power, he is still a Jujutsu master after all, and it is impossible for anyone to silently replace the knife forged by Gojo Naru in front of him. Then, the only possibility is that this mediocre katana was forged by Gojo Ming before. Could it be that the white katana he just saw was just his illusion? It shouldn't be. I didn't eat anything wrong today, so how could I be dazzled? For a cursed tool blacksmith, a sharp eye is the most basic requirement. Therefore, if all this had not happened in front of Gojo Zui, he would not have believed that he had just seen it wrong. So, what kind of ability does this cursed tool have? Does it have the same frost attribute ability as Yening? Gojo Zui picked up Sode Shirayuki, his eyes constantly moving on the blade, and handle. At the same time, he also tried to instill his scarce magic power into Sode Shirayuki. However, it is a pity that Sode Shirayuki did not give Gojo Takai any response. Did I misunderstand that what Ming forged was not the cursed tool, but just an ordinary weapon? But, do ordinary weapons need to use one and cursed tool as materials? During the forging process just now, I obviously felt that there is a lot of power hidden in this cursed tool. Gojo Zui shook his head in confusion. He feels that this weapon is definitely a cursed tool, but it may be that his current spell power cannot activate the effect of this cursed tool. It seems that the secret hidden in this cursed tool may need to be understood after Ming wakes up. Gojo Zui carefully prepared to put away Sode Shirayuki, but the next second, the door of the forging house was suddenly pushed open. Gojo Shunichi, what are you doing here? Seeing the visitor, Gojo Zui frowned slightly and his tone was not very good. Shunyi's attitude towards Gojo Ming was obvious to the entire clan. At this moment, if he appears here, nothing good will happen. Oh? Why, Master Zhouye doesn't seem to welcome me very much. Gojo Shunyi didn't care about Gojo Zui's attitude. When he called Gojo Zui Master Zui, there was a hint of contempt in his tone. He is the second-level Jujutsu master of the Gojo family and is also a Kendo master. His status is much higher than that of cursed tool master Gojo Takai, so he doesn't care about Gojo Takai's thoughts at all. Gojo walked into the forging house without any care, and at the same time looked around at every corner of the house casually. When he saw Gojo sleeping beside him, a hint of disdain appeared on his face. Does the fake Six Eyes still want to compete with the real Six Eyes? There are people who are more talented than you and work harder than you. Why should you be on an equal footing with Master Wu? Master Wu is the hope for the future of the Gojo family. He is the real pupil of the sky. Your survival will only affect the future of the fifth master. Gojo Shunichi did not hide his dissatisfaction with Gojo Ming at all. Although they are two people with exactly the same appearance, Gojo Shunyi's attitude towards them is so different. The root of all this is undoubtedly the amount of spell power the two people have. Humph, Shunyi. What on earth do you want to do here? Gojo Zui emphasized again, his whole face pulled down, this is his forging house after all. Even though Jujutsu masters have a very high status in the Gojo family, this is not the reason why Gojo Shunyi disrespects him so much. After all, he is also the only blacksmith master in the entire Gojo family. After being nodded by Gojo Takai, Gojo Shunyi's eyes also moved away from Gojo Ming. The next second, Gojo Shinyi's eyes stayed on the Sword Shirayuki in Gojo Takai's hand. I just finished interrogating the assassin, and I heard that he also had a first-level curse tool taken away by you. I'm here to take it away from him. That first-level curse tool needs to be used as a murder weapon and is under the control of the Gojo family's treasury. Master Zwoi, please obediently hand over that first-level curse tool. It turns out that coming to find Yanning is Gojo Shinika's real purpose. After all, this is a first-level curse tool, which is very rare in the entire Jujutsu world. Before, Gojo Shunichi was very dissatisfied with this assassin, but after hearing that the assassin actually sent a first-level curse tool, his mood suddenly improved a lot. Where is the assassin here? It's obviously an angel who comes to send you warmth, okay? If so, please push harder. Invite more assassins and send more cursed tools. Level 1 Cursed Tool. Gojo's voice stiffened and subconsciously put Sword Shirayuki behind him. Yanning has now disappeared from this world, and he does not have a first-level curse tool that he can give to Gojo Shinyi. As for the Sword Shirayuki currently in his hand, this is the cursed tool created by Gojo Ming for the first time. No matter what grade it will be confirmed to be in the future, he does not want this weapon to be taken away by Gojo Shunichi. However, how could Gojo Shunichi, a second-level Jujutsu master, not notice something strange about Gojo Takai? The moment Gojo Takai put Gyubagyu behind him, he had already flashed up behind Gojo Takai and snatched it directly from General Gyubagyu. Is this the original one? No wonder you cherished it so much just now. However, it is somewhat unexpected that this first-level curse tool is so simple and unpretentious. Gojo's expression looked a little regretful. Chapter 9 Gojo Zwoi, the enemy of the master craftsman. This is not the first-level curse tool, give it back to me. Gojo Zwoi felt his empty right hand, his expression full of anger. He didn't expect Gojo Shinyi to be so disrespectful to him and snatch Sword Shirayuki directly from him without his consent. Isn't this a cursed tool? Master Zhouye is not kidding, right? I can still distinguish whether it is a cursed tool or not. Gojo raised his eyebrows for a moment, his heart filled with disdain. Sure enough, the first-level curse tool is something that even a blacksmith master really wants to occupy. Will it also make them greedy? No, this is not the Yanning. This weapon was just forged by Ming. It is different from what you think. Gojo Zwoi's words made Gojo's expression slightly stunned. The cursed tool forged by Gojo Ming. Gojo's eyes flashed with suspicion, and then he burst into laughter. Are you kidding? Gojo Ming is only 6 years old and he can forge cursed tool. Are you kidding me? When did you cursed tool master's entry threshold become so low? If that's the case, then let the other losers in the Gojo family learn from you. For being able to train a 6-year-old cursed tool blacksmith, I don't think I can call you Master Zwoi anymore. I should call you Grand Master Zwoi, right? Isn't that right? Master Zwoi. Gojo's instant sarcasm made Gojo Zwoi's face turn blue and purple. Although Gojo Zwoi is the master of cursed tool forging, he is also famous in the entire cursed tool forging world for not having an apprentice. How many apprentices had studied with him, but none of them survived to the end. They all said that they could not learn anything, and then they chose a new teacher. Therefore, the word master is completely a worry for Gojo Zwoi. On the other side, Gojo Ming frowned and slowly opened his eyes. The mental fatigue still hadn't faded away, but Gojo Shinyi's voice was too annoying and noisy, so he could only put his tiredness aside. For being able to train a 6-year-old cursed tool blacksmith, I don't think I can call you Master Zwoi anymore. I should call you Grand Master Zwoi, right? Isn't that right? Master Zwoi. Hearing the strange aura in Gojo's words, a chill appeared on Gojo Ming's face. Among this family, he is closest to Gojo Zwoi. Without Gojo Takai's careful teaching, he would not have been able to improve his forging skills so quickly to meet the conditions for activating the Zanpakuto forging function. So, who is Gojo Shinyi to dare to mock his master like this? Gojo Ming sat up silently, looking at everything that happened in front of him coldly, preparing to regain his position for his master. On the other side, Gojo Shinyi continued to mock Gojo Sui. You said this cursed tool was forged by Gojo Ming? It's ridiculous. How could someone with his talent be suitable to be a cursed tool master, let alone be able to forge a cursed tool at the age of 6? Absolutely impossible. Gojo Shinyi shook his head while pouring the curse power in his body into the cursed tool. The best thing he currently has is only the level 2 cursed tool, and he has never tried the power of the level 1 cursed tool. Just take this opportunity to experience the special abilities of this cursed tool named Yaning. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. But as the magic power was instilled, Gojo's expression suddenly froze. He felt that his feeling should not be wrong. This weapon should be the cursed tool, but why couldn't his curse have any effect? This is not common sense at all. Under normal circumstances, as long as it is a cursed tool, it can produce corresponding effects under the influence of curses. Could it be said that the characteristic of this cursed tool is pure physical power? However, it shouldn't be. Such pure physical power is not like the fighting style of the killer Jujutsu master named Haruki Ere. No way. Gojo's eyes widened subconsciously for a moment. Is it really my misunderstanding? This weapon is not the cursed tool, but just an ordinary toy forged by Gojo Ming? This must be the case. Gojo Sui must have looked at Gojo Ming's forging with colored glasses, so he thought it was a cursed tool. Damn it, you actually misled me. Where did Gojo Sui hide the first level cursed tool? This is really not cursed tool, it's really rubbish. You are worthy of being the enemy of master and craftsman. It is obviously just an ordinary toy, but you still try to call such a thing a cursed tool. Master Zhou, yeah, I wonder if your colleagues would cry silently on the sidelines if they saw you degenerate like this. If you really don't have the talent to teach disciples, then you should do your own thing well, forge the cursed tool well, and continue to make your own contribution to the family instead of spending your energy on a waste. Gojo's voice suddenly disappeared. When he pointed at Gojo Ming and called him useless, he found that Gojo Ming beside him had already woken up and looked at him with an indifferent expression. Gojo's expression was a little embarrassed. Although he had always thought so in his heart, he still could not say such words directly in front of the rightful master. After all, Gojo Ming is a direct descendant of the Gojo family. As long as the head of the family does not abolish Gojo Ming's inheritance rights, this trash in front of him may become the representative of the Gojo family in the future. Huh? Why don't you say anything, Uncle Shun? Can't you remember what you called me? I'm the loser of the Gojo family. Gojo Ming resisted his tiredness and jumped out of bed and came to Gojo Sui's side. Gojo Shinyi, have you forgotten that the cursed tool you are using was forged by Master Zhou yet? Without Master's cursed tool, don't you know how many casualties you would have suffered during the mission? Haha, what makes you Jujutsu masters so superior? What, could it be said that your parents were also born Jujutsu masters? Can you guarantee that your child will be a Jujutsu master in the future? The corners of Gojo Ming's mouth raised slightly. He was not a bully who would not fight back when bullied. That is to say, Master Sui has always been thinking about the kindness within the clan. Otherwise, where would he go without being respected by other Jujutsu masters? What, do you really think of yourself as the big 3 sorcerer families in the Jujutsu world? Do you really think that the Gojo family is invincible? Do you really think that the Gojo family will develop smoothly in the future if they have 6 eyes who understand this? Gojo Shunichi, you are an adult, why are you still so naive? Gojo Ming shrugged, his young face full of mockery. If 6 eyes is everything, then why are there curses in this world? Why are there so many powerful cursed spirits? Why is the king of curses Ryaman Sukuna still there? If Six Eyes is really invincible, then why didn't any of the Six Eyes that came out of the Gojo family died a good death? I know you will place all your hopes on Satoru. However, I want to tell you that Satoru is not invincible. Even if he has the best talent in the world, even if he has Six Eyes, and he masters unlimited techniques, such an enlightenment cannot be invincible. Your expectations for him will only make him go astray. Satoru, I will definitely become the strongest Jujutsu master in the Jujutsu world in the future, but please don't underestimate those curse users and cursed spirits. In the future, Satoru and I still have a long way to go. Although Gojo Ming's voice was childish, it seemed very sonorous and powerful at this moment. Chapter 10 Gojo Ming's Bed. Outside the forging house, two people, one large and one small, stood silently at the end of the corridor in the distance, their expressions very complex and motionless. Master, is Ming right? Is Six Eyes really invincible? After listening to the boy's question, the old man sighed, touched Gojo Satoru's pure white hair, and shook his head. I didn't expect Naru to have such a comprehensive understanding of the world of Jujutsu. It turns out that there are people in this world who are born to know it. It's a pity that Ming didn't realize your talent. Otherwise, his character might be able to better support the Gojo family in the future. Gojo Satoru looked up at the old man next to the god, his blue eyes full of curiosity. Master, even if Ming doesn't have magical powers, he will definitely become a unique being in the world of Jujutsu. If Naru is willing to take over the Gojo family, I am willing to help Naru manage the Gojo family well. Gojo Satoru's tone was firm. He could feel his brother's love for him, and at the same time, the guilt in his heart for Gojo Ming made him willing to give up all the good things to Gojo Ming. The old man glanced at Gojo Satoru blankly, with a trace of kindness on his face. Wu, the position of the head of the family is not easy to take. If you really feel sorry for Ming, then you can take on the pressure yourself. Perhaps, when you truly come to this position, you can change Ming's attitude. Destiny. The old man sighed, full of regret for the existence of Gojo Ming. This time, he brought Gojo Satoru to the forge house, partly to meet Gojo Ming. After all, he hadn't seen him for a long time. On the other hand, he also hopes to see how well the first-level curse tool fits Gojo Satoru. If possible, he also hopes to equip Gojo Satoru with this first-level curse tool named Yening. However, what he didn't expect was that Gojo Shinyi would appear here and show such dissatisfaction with Gojo Ming. I won't let Shinyi serve as your bodyguard from now on. The old man made his decision. Listen to the master. Gojo Satoru's face showed the same indifferent expression as Gojo Naru's. If the head of the family didn't punish Gojo instantly, he might take it upon himself to save his brother. How could he, Gojo Satoru's younger brother, be a loser? In the forge house, Gojo Shinyi was scolded by Gojo Ming, and his expression was very ugly. He wanted to refute, but couldn't find a reason to refute, so he could only shift the blame to Gojo Sui. Master Wu's future will naturally be decided by himself. But, am I wrong? Does Gojo Sui really have the talent to teach apprentices? He just said that this weapon was the cursed tool forged by you. Haha, you can't even tell the difference between a cursed tool and an ordinary weapon? I think Gojo Sui must have lost his sight. Gojo Shinyi directly started to attack Gojo Sui with words. All of this made Gojo Ming's expression become colder and colder. Who told you that this weapon does not belong to cursed tool? Gojo Ming laughed and said coldly. I discovered it myself. This weapon doesn't have any magic power at all. How could it be a cursed tool? I can't feel the existence of any magic power or magic spells on this weapon. Gojo Shuaki retorted confidently. However, what surprised him was that his confidence did not impress Gojo Ming, but instead made Gojo Ming laugh directly. Then, he saw Gojo Ming shaking his head contemptuously, with an expression that said he had seen too little. After you have seen Zenon's special curse tool, come talk to me again. If you don't understand anything, dare to use your common sense to challenge my expertise. Gojo Ming stretched out his right hand. Give me the thing. Let's have a test. I remember that Uncle Shun, your cursed tool is also a katana. Let's have a test to see if my weapon is actually a cursed tool. Gojo Ming's calm expression made Gojo instantly feel that something was wrong. He didn't know why Gojo Ming had such confidence. Could it be that the katana in his hand is really the cursed tool? However, what can Gojo Ming do even if he gets this cursed tool? Does Gojo Ming have the magic power to use the cursed tool? Gojo Shinyi really wanted to follow Gojo Ming's words and teach Gojo Ming a lesson through the competition, but he still did not dare to take action against a direct descendant of the family like Gojo Ming. It's okay. Uncle Shun, let's make a bet. Let Master Zhou Ye be the witness. If the cursed tool I forged is more powerful than yours, then you have to stand down and apologize to Master Zhou Ye. The next time you see Master Zhou Ye, you must stay away. As for me, if I lose, I will never take the initiative to contact Satoru in the future. How's it going? Aren't you always worried about the twins' curse? If I don't come into contact with Satoru, you should be able to relax a lot, right? The corners of Gojo Ming's mouth raised slightly, and a playful smile appeared on his face. Ming, you. Gojo's boy's face changed when he heard such a bet. Although he had been giving Gojo Ming chicken soup to make him think about not competing with Gojo Satoru, he did not want Gojo Ming to alienate his relationship with Gojo Satoru. Moreover, the weight of these two bets is a bit too unequal, right? Gojo's boy just wanted to stop him, but was interrupted by Gojo Ming's firm eyes. Master Zhou Ye, you just need to be a good witness. How about it, Uncle Shun, are you scared? Gojo Ming raised his head and looked at Gojo Shinyi, who was much taller than him. The contempt on his face made Gojo Shinyi furious. For the Gojo family, for Master Wu to grow better. Today, even if I offend a direct descendant of the family, I am willing to accept the corresponding punishment. Okay. I promise you, Master Ming. Gojo immediately gritted his teeth and agreed to Gojo Ming's bet. He wanted Gojo Ming to see what a real cursed tool is. He touched his old friend Xin Ming on his waist, feeling full of confidence in winning. Gojo Ming, how could a person with no magic power defeat him in the cursed tool competition? Chapter 11 Binding Sode Shirayuki. Outside the house, Gojo Satoru's expression changed when he heard the content of the bet, and he was about to rush in to stop it. However, his movement was directly blocked by the old man on the side. Satoru, wait a moment. My lord, I do not recognize this bet. Gojo Satoru's face was full of confusion. He didn't know why the old man wanted to stop him. If this bet was really established, according to Gojo Ming's character, he would really fulfill the bet. Don't be anxious. Satoru, many times, your personality is still a little too impatient. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly and kept his gaze on Gojo Ming in the forge. You and Ming are indeed twins, with complementary personalities. Ming is too calm and steady about many things, while you are too out of the box and impatient. I'm afraid this is really destiny. Wu, don't worry, do you think with a character like Yi Ming's, he would propose a bet that is bound to lose? Although Zhou Ye is very important to Gojo Ming. However, as the elder brother, you are equally important to Ming. Let's calm down and see how things develop, I'm very curious. A trace of expectation appeared on the old man's face. He was very curious about what kind of shocking things this descendant, who he had not paid attention to for a long time and had been focusing on forging the cursed tool, could do. Is it true, as Gojo's voice said, that Gojo Ming was able to create cursed tool at the age of 6? If this is really the case, Gojo Ming can even be said to have another kind of talent. Unlike many ordinary Jujutsu masters, the old man, as the head of the Gojo family, often looks at people and things differently. Ordinary Jujutsu masters think that cursed tool is just an auxiliary to the Jujutsu master, just the icing on the cake. However, he doesn't think so. In the eyes of the old man, Jujutsu master plus cursed tool is the most complete and true Jujutsu master. As there is a Chinese saying that goes well, a gentleman is born without being different, and he is good at pretending to be good at things. A qualified Jujutsu master must learn to make good use of the cursed tool. This is the fundamental reason why the old man always values Gojo's voice. If the huge Gojo family does not have a cursed tool master as its support, then the sorcerer family's heritage will be completely lost. Now, seeing how disrespectful Gojo Shinyi was to Gojo Takai, the old man also realized that many things had gone off the track without his attention. Perhaps, I really should make some changes to the entire family. As for the future direction of the family, this kind of big change can only be left to Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru. The two six-eyes children should have the courage to make the entire Gojo family stand up again. He is just a conservative dog now. He first helps Satoru and Ming repair the big ship named Gojo, so that the ship can dock smoothly. As for whether Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru will completely renovate the ship or destroy it and rebuild it, it has nothing to do with him. Compared with the old man's complex thoughts, Gojo Satoru's emotions were much simpler. If Ming really loses, then I will definitely interrupt this bet. Gojo Satoru's pair of blue eyes stared intently at everything happening in the forge, not daring to be careless in the slightest. Master Ming, tell me, how are you going to compete? Gojo looked at Gojo Ming seriously. In his opinion, he had the advantage in this competition. He possesses the strength of a second-level Jujutsu master, while Gojo Naru is just an ordinary person with no magical power. The cursed tool in his hand is a second-level cursed tool, which is also the proud work of Gojo Zwoi, the forging master in front of him, and Gojo Ming's weapon cannot see the cursed tool at all. Even if Gojo Ming's weapon is a cursed tool, how can the apprentice's cursed tool defeat the master's cursed tool? Moreover, Gojo Zhouye also said that this cursed tool was forged by Gojo Ming for the first time. With so many factors added up, he really couldn't imagine how he should lose. Even he himself felt that this bet was too unfair to Gojo Ming. Next, as long as Gojo Ming puts forward a reasonable bet request, he is ready to accept it. Of course, the premise is that it must be reasonable. As he spoke, Gojo Shunichi threw the Sword Shirayuki in his hand back to Gojo Naru. Since it's a cursed tool competition, I can't bully you. During the whole process, I won't use any magic power. I will just use the magic power and spells in the cursed tool to compare with you. Gojo's request showed his arrogance. After all, he was about to face a 6-year-old child. It was psychologically difficult for him to bully a young child. When Gojo Ming heard this, he didn't particularly refuse. This kind of thing was beneficial to his bet, so it was naturally better for him. At this moment, he had no energy to pay attention to Gojo Shunichi. All his attention was drawn to the Zanpakuto in his hand. Previously, because the Zanpakuto was wrapped in a strip of cloth, Gojo Ming never saw Sword Shirayuki's true appearance. After Sword Shirayuki acquired it, Gojo Ming's face showed the same expression as Gojo Takai before. Is this Sword no Shirayuki? Why does it look so ordinary? Isn't it said that it is said to be the most beautiful Zanpakuto in Seoul society? Gojo Ming's eyes widened instantly. This result was not what he expected. If this weapon was not Sword Shirayuki, then I would have lost a lot of money on this bet. What appeared in front of Gojo Ming's eyes was an ordinary tachi with an octagonal blade and a nearly rectangular shape. There were flame-like patterns on both sides of the long side, and magatama-like patterns on the short side. There are curved slits above and below the blade, and a series of curved reliefs on both sides of the blade. The handle of the knife is brownish red. It has a completely different appearance from the Sword Shirayuki in Gojo Naru's memory. Just looking at it this way, it is completely impossible to tell that it is Sword Shirayuki from the Shinigami world. In this cursed tool bet, he originally relied on Zanpakuto Sword Shirayuki. If Sword Shirayuki can't play his role, then his bet this time will definitely be lost. Gojo Ming focused his whole attention on the Zanpakuto's body, and at the same time, the system's voice finally sounded. Detect that the host has successfully bound the Zanpakuto Sword Shirayuki. In a shallow fighting state, please follow the system prompts to explore the original and swastika versions of the Zanpakuto. Tip 1. The shape, state, and ability of the Zanpakuto are based on the soul of the god of death himself. The Shinigami gains power by knowing the name of the Zanpakuto given to him and by having spiritual conversations with it. Tip 2. Each knife has its own name. During battle, the god of death can call the name of his knife to liberate himself and release more powerful power to fight. Tip 3. If the Shinigami knows the true name of his Zanpakuto, he can call the true name to release the true form and power of the Zanpakuto. Tip 4. The swastika is the second stage of liberation of the Zanpakuto, which is the final liberation after the first stage of liberation of the Zanpakuto. The prerequisite for swastika is that the Zanpakuto's body can be materialized and surrendered. Chapter 12 Wool. Siejian Deo Experience. Through systematic explanations and explanations, Gojo Ming finally realized Sword Shirayuki's current situation. Turns out, this is just a shallow fight. It seems that every Zanpakuto forged in the future will enter a state of shallow attack at the beginning. Then, it will be initiated by knowing the true name of the Zanpakuto, and it will be swastika by surrendering to the Zanpakuto. Fortunately, I have understood the system of the Shinigami, and I know the corresponding information for each Zanpakuto of the Shinigami. Otherwise, I was temporarily asked to ask for the name of the Zanpakuto. After asking, Daylily will be confused. It's cold. Gojo Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Sword Shirayuki, next, we need to fight the world together. Gojo Ming softly called the Zanpakuto's name, and slowly pulled Sword Shirayuki out of the cloth. His actions worried Gojo Takai on the side, made Gojo on the opposite side chuckle for a moment, and also made Gojo Satoru, who was watching from the outside, nervous. Satoru, are you nervous? The old man felt Gojo Satoru's emotions and asked with a smile. For him, this was the first time he saw Gojo Satoru being nervous. This was extremely rare for Gojo Satoru, who had an out-of-the-box personality. It turns out that Gojo Satoru is not incapable of being nervous, but only produces nervousness for specific people. The old man shook his head, reached out and touched Gojo Satoru's head again, and comforted him in a deep voice. Ming is having a conversation with his cursed tool. Relax, I can feel the difference in that cursed tool. Satoru, please keep your faith in Naru. If nothing else happens, the cursed tool in Naru's hand should be even more powerful. Gojo Satoru nodded slightly, still staring at Gojo Ming, and the decision he had made in his heart remained unchanged. If an accident occurs, he will also become the accident of this bet. Sword Shirayuki? That's a really good name. Because he had watched the entire forging process of Sword Shirayuki, Gojo was very satisfied with the name. Such an elegant and beautiful name fit perfectly with the pure white prop that appeared during the forging. The name Gojo Ming said also allowed Gojo's voice to confirm that the knife he saw before was not an illusion. Sword Shirayuki? For an ordinary weapon, no matter how nice the name is, what can it do? Gojo Shunichi is very disdainful of this name. He has always regarded cursed tool as a prop. Why should he take the name of a prop so seriously? Whether it's Gojo Naru Sword Shirayuki or the Minami in my own hand, it's just a nickname. Let's start. Uncle Shun, you can also take out your cursed tool. Gojo Naruto raised his hand to strike, and his 6-year-old body held an adult's katana, which looked so disharmonious. Master Ming, this is my cursed tool, Seeing Ming. Gojo instantly drew out his katana chime from his waist and raised his hand. Master Ming, you attack and I defend. I will let you see the true power of Su Ming's cursed tool. Chiang chiang chiang. The two samurai swords collided continuously. Gojo Ming swung a shallow strike and repeatedly slashed at Gojo Shunichi. Gojo Shunichi, on the other hand, was holding his Ming, constantly blocking Gojo Ming's attacks. The two people have completely different experiences in kendo skills. Although both of them hold samurai swords, Gojo Ming's skills in kendo are basically zero, while Gojo Shunichi is a kendo master who can be ranked among the entire Gojo family. It is precisely because of such a name that Gojo Shunichi has the confidence to ignore Gojo Ming. However, Gojo Shunichi did not use his kendo experience to bully Gojo Ming. After all, the person in front of me is still just a 6-year-old child. Although he was extremely disgusted with him in his heart, his status as a master of swordsmanship made him unwilling to take the initiative at all. However, the strength of the weapon in Gojo Naru's hand is really extraordinary. You can actually fight against my Seeing Ming without breaking the blade? Could it be that this weapon is really the cursed tool? Gojo Shinyi had some doubts. If it were an ordinary weapon, the blade would have curled up long ago during this simple duel. This katana named Sode Shirayuki has not changed at all. However, Gojo Shinyi cannot feel the magic power from it, which is not very consistent with the characteristics of cursed tool. He frowned and observed Gojo Ming and Sode Shirayuki, the doubts on his face getting heavier and heavier. On the other hand, Gojo Ming's heart was full of surprises. The host is receiving the teachings of the Kendo Master, Kendo Experience plus 10. The host is receiving the teachings of the Kendo Master, Kendo Experience plus 10. The host is receiving the teachings of the Kendo Master, Kendo Experience plus 10. With every swing and slash, Gojo Ming was able to gain corresponding kendo experience from Gojo Shinyi. This is an unexpected surprise for Gojo Ming. Unexpectedly, this annoying guy can actually bring him kendo experience. Doesn't this mean that the longer he fights with him, the more kendo he will gain from Gojo Shinyi? Originally, Gojo Naru was planning to start the Kaikai as soon as possible, so that Gojo could see the true strength of Zanpakuto Sode Shirayuki directly. Now, after discovering that wool can be harvested, he has changed his mind. You must make the best use of everything, and you must squeeze Gojo to the extreme. Thinking of this, Gojo Ming not only continued to increase the speed of slashing, but also began to taunt. Uncle Shun, is this your cursed tool? Can you slash me 100 times and make my Sode Shirayuki curl up? So, don't you still admit that my Sode Shirayuki is cursed tool? Gojo Ming's childish voice deliberately created a kind of innocence, forcing Gojo Shinyi to continue to resist his attacks. Cursed tool? At most, it's just that the material you used for forging is relatively strong. This doesn't prove anything. Wait until you actually slash 100 swords before you speak. Gojo showed disdain for a moment, he still didn't believe Sode Shirayuki was cursed tool. Moreover, he didn't even think that Gojo Naru, as a 6-year-old child, could wield an adult katana up to 100 times. There is no way a child's physical strength can sustain it for such a long time. And all this was just as Gojo Shunichi expected. When Gojo Ming slashed 30 times, his strength had become much weaker. After all, not long ago, he used all his strength to forge the Sode Shirayuki. Now, it is indeed very difficult for him to slash it 100 times. Even if he is a carrier of heavenly restriction, he cannot ignore the restrictions imposed on him by his age. 31 knives, 32 knives, 33 knives. Gojo Ming's hands were already sore, but every prompt from the system gave him great motivation. He also knows that this kind of opportunity is absolutely rare. When he wins this bet, Gojo Shunichi may not be so obedient as a sparring partner for him. 40 knives, 41 knives. In the last few minutes, Gojo Ming struck out with 43 strikes, receiving 43 prompts from the system, and gained a total of 430 Kendo experience points. Watching the experience value on the system panel increase from 0% to 1%, Gojo Ming's heart ached and felt happy. When his swordsmanship experience reaches the full level, he can open the promotion channel for free. Among the 4 basic skills of Jean Fist and Jean Gui, currently it seems that Baida is the most suitable for my body. Heavenly restriction will bring great strengthening to the body. When there is no cursed tool around, the only thing Gojo Ming can use is this body, and hitting in vain is undoubtedly the best attack method. Therefore, for Gojo Ming, he must improve his kendo experience as soon as possible and quickly learn the skills of fighting for nothing. Chapter 13 Let's dance together, Shiu begs you. At this moment, facing Gojo Ming's powerless attack, Gojo Shinyi's patience has reached its limit. When Gojo Ming swung the 43rd sword, Gojo Shunichi had clearly felt that Gojo Ming was exhausted. After more than 40 sword fights, there was still no curled blade. Gojo Shinyi was a little shocked in his heart. If this Sode Shirayuki was really forged by Gojo Ming, then the level of forging is really a bit exaggerated. However, he still doesn't think Sode Shirayuki is cursed tool. Master Ming, you've had enough trouble. Next, I won't play this fencing game with you anymore. Let me show you what cursed tool is. Gojo suddenly felt that he had enough respect for the identity of the direct descendants of the Gojo family, and he did not want to waste his time anymore. Gojo suddenly used his strength to deflect Gojo Ming's attack, and the curse power began to pour into the cursed tool in his hand. Sing Ming, harass the enemy. With the influx of spell power, countless cicada cries rang out of thin air throughout the forging house. Xiao means cicada. The chirping of cicadas is the chirping of cicadas. The function of Gojo Shinichi's cursed tool is to interfere with the enemy's will through the instantaneous chirping sound, and at the same time, it can wield an air blade as thin as a cicada's wing. This is his cursed tool, the second-level cursed tool, Sing Ming. Ming, be careful and concentrate. As the forger of Femming, Gojo Zui naturally knows the power of Femming very well. He knew that Gojo Shunichi would not hurt Gojo Ming with the air blade, but if his will was suddenly affected by the cicada's chirping, Gojo Ming would not feel well either. Gojo Zui has already noticed that Gojo Shinyi is ready to directly use the cicada chirp to make Gojo Ming give up the fight. From his perspective, as a witness, everything seemed to be a foregone conclusion. He originally thought that Gojo Ming's Sode Shirayuki could really bring Gojo Ming a trump card, but what he didn't expect was that Sode Shirayuki only had no strength. Others may be shocked that Sode Shirayuki can fight with Su Ming for more than 40 swords without curling the blade, but Gojo Zui does not find it unusual. After all, this Sode Shirayuki has a first-level curse tool integrated into its interior. Could it be that Gojo Ming is really going to fail? Outside the house, Gojo Satoru's spell power is already flowing on his body, and he is ready to stop this gamble. Like Gojo Takai, he also believed that Gojo Ming was at a disadvantage at this time. The katana named Sode Shirayuki could not help Gojo Ming withstand Gojo Shinyi's cicada attack. However, just like before, Gojo Satoru was once again stopped by the old man beside him. "Sir, what are you planning to do?" Gojo Satoru's face was already full of dissatisfaction, and he even began to doubt the family owner's intentions. Did the family owner really want to see Gojo Ming fail, and then stop Gojo Ming from actively contacting him? Seeing that Gojo Satoru was so excited, the old man shook his head helplessly. Logically speaking, you and Zhou should be the people who know Ming best, right? Why are you feeling more impatient than an old man like me? Didn't you see Ming's expression? Do you think Ming with this expression was forced into a desperate situation? The old man pointed at Gojo Ming, who was holding Shirayuki in his sleeve, with a playful smile on his face. Gojo Satoru frowned, looked at Gojo Ming's face, and froze. At this moment, there was no panic on Gojo Ming's face, but an extremely confident smile. What's happening here? Could it be that Ming has other trump cards in his hand at this time? Could it be that the sleeve Bai Shui has other functions? If this is really the case, why did Naru and Shun pair fight so many times? What's the point? There is no doubt that both Gojo Satoru and Gojo Takai were led astray by Gojo Ming's meaningless 43 swords. Without a system, they naturally don't know what kind of benefits Gojo Ming's previous 43 swords brought him. This time, Gojo Satoru chose to believe Gojo Ming. He also really wanted to know what the stage prepared by his younger brother was like. He hopes that Gojo Ming can show the ability to convince Gojo Shenyi. He knew that his brother would not be useless. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Feeling the magic power and magic flowing from Gojo Ming's blade, Gojo Ming felt a little regretful in his heart. It seems that the wool can only go so far. Gojo Ming shook his head, gathered his thoughts, raised his right hand to strike lightly, raised it to eye level, and shouted loudly. Ling Wu. Xiu begs you. As the Zanpakuto began to chant, the pattern of the shallow blow in Gojo Ming's hand began to change. The blade, guard, and handle all turned pure white in an instant. The blade also changed from square to oval, with 6 hollows appearing. A mysterious pattern appeared on the front end of the knife handle, and a white ribbon appeared out of thin air at the end connection. Everyone at the scene was shocked. What happened? I didn't blink. How could it be? Can the appearance of cursed tool still change? Why did the cursed tool change its form directly after Gojo Ming said those words? Seeing Sode no Shirayuki's true appearance revealed with his own eyes, how could Gojo Shunichi still be firm in his previous opinions? This is definitely not an ordinary samurai sword, this is really like what Gojo's voice said, it is really a cursed tool. There is such a magical cursed tool. Unexpectedly, Naru's talent is actually reflected in cursed tool forging, Sode Shirayuki. This kind of changing form of cursed tool will probably directly subvert the pattern of the cursed tool industry, right? The old man's eyes were shining brightly as he stared at the Zanpakuto in Gojo Ming's hand, feeling very excited. He seemed to have seen Gojo Ming's future, and saw that Gojo Ming was walking a completely different path. So beautiful. The real appearance of this sleeved snow is so beautiful, it matches a Ming's appearance perfectly, and perfectly fits a Ming's temperament. Is this the cursed tool forged by a Ming? Sure enough, a Ming will not let me down. Gojo Satoru's eyes flashed with joy. Regardless of the strength of Sode Shirayuki, Gojo Ming's ability to forge the cursed tool at this age has completely exceeded the boundaries of ordinary people. He has the strongest Jujutsu talent, and a Ming has the strongest blacksmithing talent. Gojo Satoru believes that the two brothers will become the strongest combination in the entire Jujutsu world. Sode no Shirayuki's appearance matches well with Gojo Naru's. Of course, it also matches my appearance. As expected. Sure enough. This cursed tool really looks like this. I saw it correctly before. Gojo's voice face was full of excitement. Sure enough, it was because he used it the wrong way, so he couldn't transform the katana into such a pure white appearance. The temperament of this knife is too sharp. If you hadn't seen it with your own eyes, it would be hard to believe that this knife was made by a 6-year-old child. Is this powerful frost power a curse? A Ming can actually use magic power? Could it be said that heavenly restriction has been lifted? Gojo's boy's eyes were fixed on Gojo Ming's body, and he had realized that the Sode Shirayuki was definitely not only strong enough. There is an unusual technique hidden in this knife. This is the judgment of a cursed tool master, and it is also the result of his close observation. Chapter 14, Snow Falls. The power of the most beautiful Zanpakuto. Master Ming. So what if you can forge the cursed tool? Is your Sodshirayuki stronger than my Seen Ming? The water in Cursed Tool is very deep, Master Ming. Feeling the energy revealed in Sodshirayuki, Gojo Shinyi didn't know what it was, but he still classified it as a magical power. At this moment, he still had confidence. He felt that Gojo's chirping could not stop the interference of the cicada chirping. With the mental strength of Gojo Ming as a 6-year-old child, he would soon be unable to support himself in front of Seen Ming. Really, Uncle Shun, I think that as a Cursed Tool master, I should know more about the Cursed Tool industry than you. Gojo Ming raised his eyebrows slightly and waved Sodshirayuki with his right hand, placing it against his skin. The coldness of the frost instantly dispelled the sleepiness in his mind. At this moment, the noisy chirping of cicadas was completely isolated by the chill of Sodshirayuki. Xin Ming's cursed tool is very strong, but, I'm sorry, my Sodshirayuki is even more powerful. Gojo Ming continued to chant, the first dance Uebai. With the wave of Sodshirayuki in his hand, Gojo Ming drew a circle on the ground with the tip of Sodshirayuki. The next second, everyone at the scene felt a chill spreading on the ground. This is Gojo Satoru, who is extremely sensitive to the power of magic, changed his face slightly. He could feel that this power did not belong to the power of magic, but the way it circulated was exactly the same as magic power. Moreover, this move called First Dance Moon White is very similar to the technique. A Ming is unable to control the spells, so through forging, Cursed Tool has the unique spell power and spells of Cursed Tool. Gojo Satoru could only think of this explanation. At the same time, the expressions of Gojo Shinyi and Gojo Zwoi in the forge had completely changed. Being inside the house, their experience of the dance of the first moon white was even more profound. Being in the circle drawn by the white moon, they felt the chill getting worse and worse, as if the blood in their bodies would be drained in the next second. Frozen. Is this a cursed tool used by a person without cursing power? Gojo Shunichi was completely shocked by Sodshirayuki's move. If a person without cursing power can release spells by using the cursed tool, doesn't it mean that the gap between Jujutsu masters and ordinary people will be greatly shortened? Gojo Ming, is he such a terrible person? Will such a person, forging such a cursed tool, change the entire Jujutsu world? The scorpion in Gojo's hand has begun to tremble silently. Cicadas can only sing in summer, and in the face of this overwhelming winter atmosphere, Cursed Tool Seen Ming can only retreat into silence. Careful! Gojo Satoru and the old man outside the house rushed into the forging house at the same time, and used unlimited spells to protect Gojo Shinyi and Gojo Takai. The next second, a huge snowfall spewed out from the circle on the ground, directly lifting the entire roof off. The originally blazing stove was completely frozen by the power of the white frost. At this moment, the entire Gojo family was in shock. The expressions of all the Jujutsu masters changed the moment they saw this towering snowfall appearing within the family. What happened? Why did such a powerful magic technique break out within the family? Could it be that someone attacked the Gojo family? All the Jujutsu masters immediately put down their work and rushed towards the forge. In the entire Gojo family, the only person worthy of assassination by outsiders is Gojo Satoru, who possesses 6 eyes. The future of the family must not be harmed. Every Jujutsu master of the Gojo family adheres to this idea and moves quickly within the family. At this moment, inside the forge house, Gojo Naru held Sodshirayuki in his hand and had a new understanding of the power of the Zanpakuto. 6 years after his birth, he finally had a trump card. So what if there are no spells and spells? He has a Zanpakuto, but now it is just a Sodshirayuki. When he later forges more Zanpakuto, he will forge Hanaten Kwangwu, Pisces Ri, Kyoka Suijutsu, Ryakan Wakahua. Then he can use the abilities of multiple Zanpakuto at the same time. A Zanpakuto is equivalent to a Jujutsu master in this world. Don't you think I'm useless and have no magic power? When I become an army by myself in the future, I may not necessarily need the support of the Gojo family. Gojo Naru chuckled lightly and raised Sode Shirayuki in front of him. Sure enough, you are the most beautiful Zanpakuto. Sode no Shirayuki, this time, in this world, there is no Rukia Kukiki as your master. In the future, please obey my orders and fight with me. Gojo Naru looked at the white-haired boy reflected in Sode Shirayuki's blade, and a raging fire burned in his ordinary heart. In the future, I will not be a bystander. King of Curses Ryaman Sukuna. In the future, let me see the power that can cut the Gojo family in half. Within the no lower limit technique, Gojo Shinyi and Gojo Takai fell into silence as they looked at Gojo Ming with snow on his sleeves. At this moment, Gojo Shinyi has fully realized that he has really lost. The Sode Shirayuki in Gojo Ming's hand completely surpassed his Ming Ming. This intensity of cursed tool has completely subverted his imagination. Master of the family. Master Wu. Are you okay? Because of the appearance of Hatsumi Uebai, Jujutsu masters appeared one after another around the forge house. Seeing Gojo Satoru unleashing the unlimited technique, they all showed vigilance, looking around for the enemy who unleashed such an attack. However, they could not see any enemies. They only saw Gojo Ming standing on the ground holding a white katana. What happened? All the subsequent Jujutsu masters looked puzzled, and it seemed that there were no other traces of battle at the scene. Could it be that a killer attacked Gojo's house? As if he was aware that more and more Jujutsu masters were gathering here, a trace of doubt flashed in the old man's eyes, and finally he said directly. There was a problem just now when Master Zhou forged the cursed tool. It's not a big deal. You can disperse. Don't let other people come here again. There was a change in the forging house just now, and you will be in corresponding danger when you come here. The old man's words were sonorous and powerful, but they were not very convincing. Everyone who arrived at the scene realized that the old man was hiding something. If it is really Gojo's boy who is forging some cursed tool, why, at this moment, is Master Gojo Ming standing on the ground, but Master Gojo's boy is protected by Master Wu? Did something happen to Mr. Gojo Ming? Could it be that Gojo Ming is not the good-for-nothing twin in the rumors? Could it be that he also possesses spells and spells? Such an idea appeared in everyone's mind, but then, they lowered their heads and did not dare to think too much. In the Gojo family, the words of the head of the family and the deputy are unquestionable. Since the head of the family believes that this kind of thing cannot be spread casually, they can only keep everything they saw today in their hearts. Under the old man's order, the arriving Jujutsu divisions began to evacuate the forge house one after another, and at the same time began to intercept the Jujutsu divisions that continued to come. Within a few hundred meters of the entire forging house, only Gojo Ming and others were left. Chapter 15 Sode Shirayuki's level. I will set my own criteria for judging. The old man and Gojo Satoru fell from the sky. Gojo Satoru unlocked the unlimited technique and released Gojo Shinyi and Gojo Takai. Naru, is this Sode Shirayuki the cursed tool forged by you? Gojo Satoru looked curious and came directly to Gojo Naru's side. He realized that although the two of them had been together for 6 years, he didn't seem to know his brother very well. He has always felt guilty for what he did to Gojo Ming when he was still in his mother's womb, and he wants to help Gojo Ming regain his magic power so that he can also become a Jujutsu master. However, at this time, he was shocked to find that his younger brother's talent was not inferior to his own at all. Although he himself is not a Jujutsu master, the cursed tool he forged is a Jujutsu master. When Gojo Ming holds the Sode Shirayuki in his hand, isn't it equivalent to a Jujutsu master with the power of ice? Moreover, there is such a unique technique. Forget it. It was forged by a flash of inspiration, but instead of calling it cursed tool, I decided to call it Zanpakuto. Gojo Ming nodded slightly, and Sode Shirayuki shook it slightly. During the swing, so Shirayuki's white blade began to slowly fade, and then turned into the previous shallow sword. Zanpakuto. Gojo Satoru could not understand the meaning of the name Gojo Naru, but he could clearly understand that Gojo Naru created a new genre in the world of Cursed Tool. It's really unimaginable. Since your Sode Shirayuki can defeat Shinyi's chiming, does this mean that Sode Shirayuki is equivalent to the quality of a first-level cursed tool? Gojo Satoru is constantly measuring Gojo Naruto's strength. He wants to know who is stronger between himself and Gojo Naruto, who is holding Sode Shirayuki. Among them, one is the Jujutsu master who possesses 6 eyes, and the other is the Cursed Tool master who also possesses 6 eyes. Perhaps, in the eyes of others, Gojo Satoru is definitely better than Gojo Ming. However, in Gojo Satoru's own opinion, he who has not fully grown up at this time may not be able to take advantage of Sode Shirayuki. I guess so. Gojo Ming couldn't give specific criteria for judging Zanpakuto. Sode Shirayuki may not have any amazing achievements in Soul Society, but as the most beautiful one in Soul Society, it also has its own status. Such as Zanpakuto is equivalent to a first-level cursed tool, which is not an exaggeration. In Gojo Naru's view, Sode Shirayuki should be somewhere between a first-level cursed tool and a special-level cursed tool. After all, for Soul Society, the Zanpakuto is basically another life of the god of death. Without the Zanpakuto, many people would not even be able to fight. Simply comparing Sode no Shirayuki with level 1 cursed tool is not fair to Sode no Shirayuki. Thinking of this, the corners of Gojo Ming's mouth slightly raised, and he whispered to Gojo Satoru, "My Zanpakuto does not need to be classified according to the ratings of the Cursed Tool world. Every Zanpakuto I forge will be unique. Sode Shirayuki is Sode Shirayuki. Whether it is powerful or not depends entirely on the strength of its user." Gojo Naru patted Gojo Satoru's shoulder, inserted the sword in his hand into the sheath, and turned his attention to Gojo Shinyi, who was aside. "Uncle Shun, I should be considered the winner of this bet, right?" Gojo's voice was calm, but it still attracted the attention of everyone else. As bystanders who had been there from the beginning, both the old man and Gojo Satoru knew about Gojo Shunichi and Gojo Ming's bet. Facing Gojo Ming's inquiry, Gojo's expression turned ugly for a moment, but he did not deny it in any way. He looked at the fenming in his hand, silently inserted it into his waist, and walked to Gojo's boy's side. "Master Zhou Ye, I offended you today. Please forgive me for any inappropriateness." Gojo Shunichi knelt down directly on the cold ground, silently used the earth seat, and apologized to Gojo Takai. "From now on, whenever you are around, I will definitely stay away," as Master Ming said. The moment Gojo finished speaking, the ice and snow waterfall in the middle of the forge suddenly shattered, turned into streaks of frost power, and completely disappeared into the air. Gojo's boy looked at Gojo for a moment, was silent for a moment, and shook his head. "I don't need you to shy away from me, I just need you to show enough respect for Gojo Naru. He also has 6 eyes. He is Satoru's younger brother and a direct descendant of the Gojo family." This time, Gojo's boy completely exposed the Gemini Curse Party's views on Gojo Ming in front of the house owner. Before, if Gojo Ming was just an ordinary person without magic power, then he would make a bowl of chicken soup and let Gojo Ming live an honest life. After this incident, he has seen Gojo Ming's powerful talent. Under such circumstances, it would be truly unfair for Gojo Ming to just endure. Gojo Shinyi also fell into silence, his eyes constantly wandering on Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming. Under such comparison, he was shocked to find that the relationship between Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru had always been very close, and the existence of curse had not affected the two brothers at all. Two identical children stand next to each other. If they were not deliberately distinguished, it would be impossible to tell who is Gojo Satoru and who is Gojo Ming. Did we take the wrong path from the beginning? Is our initial prejudice against Gojo Ming wrong? Six Eyes is the savior of the Gojo family. Gojo Satoru is Six Eyes, Gojo Ming is also Six Eyes. How can mortals like them be qualified to judge whether Six Eyes is true or false? At this moment, Gojo Shuiki had doubts about the theory of the twin curse faction. The twins of ordinary Jujutsu master families are curse, but for the sacred Six Eyes, will this still be curse? If it was really curse, why did Six Eyes fall on two people? Gojo's eyes were fixed on Gojo Ming's body for a moment. It doesn't have a trace of curse power, but it is able to forge a magical curse tool that is comparable to the strength of a Jujutsu master. Perhaps, as Gojo's voice said, the future of the Gojo family not only lies with Satoru, but also with Gojo Ming. Gojo nodded in a flash, kneeled in front of Gojo Ming, sat down on the ground towards Gojo Ming, put his forehead on the ground, and said loudly, "Master Ming, I was too arrogant. I once commented on the existence of Six Eyes as a mortal, but I cared too much about the curse of Gemini. Now, I have seen your talent. You will definitely stand at the top of the Jujutsu world with Master Wu in the future. I am willing to accept any punishment for my previous disrespect to you." Chapter 16 The Kendo Master comes as a swordsman training partner. Gojo Shinyi has completed the transformation of consciousness. He once thought that after seeing Gojo Satoru's amazing Jujutsu talent, he would no longer be surprised by anyone. No matter how talented that person is, there is no way he can match Gojo Satoru. But now, he realizes that he was wrong. In terms of Jujutsu talent, Gojo Satoru is the most powerful, but in terms of other talents, Gojo Ming is equally amazing. Gojo Ming was very surprised to see Gojo's attitude change so completely in an instant. Originally, he thought that Gojo Shinyi would be the first villain he would encounter in the Gojo family in the future, but he never thought that Gojo Shinyi would choose to admit his mistake so straightforwardly. This made Gojo Ming's previous ideas useless. And just when Gojo Ming was thinking about how to deal with Gojo Shunichi, Gojo Satoru beside him had already spoken. "Shinyi, your disrespect for Ming has seriously affected the entire family. I have decided to cancel your position as guard captain." Gojo Satoru's expression was very cold, showing no emotion at all to the captain who had been guarding him for several years. Gojo's expression froze for a moment, but he didn't make any objection. "Let's do this, Shinyi. I've seen everything that just happened. I think your character still needs to be tempered. In the future, you can guard the back door of Gojo's house." The old man on the side gave Gojo the final punishment in a flash. This is something he promised Gojo Satoru before, and it will definitely give Gojo Satoru a result. "Yes, Master, I am willing to accept this punishment." Gojo's mood suddenly became very low. In the eyes of others, letting a swordsman master serve as the guard of the Gojo family is too extravagant. This kind of person would not be supported by any family other than the big three sorcerer families. However, Gojo Shinyi accepted the punishment decision of Gojo family head so directly without any complaints. Seeing this scene, Gojo Ming's expression changed. "Master, I don't know if I can make a request." Listening to a voice that was much calmer than Gojo Satoru's, the old man turned his head to look at Gojo Ming. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the twins who had survived to this day because of his decision. "Oh, Ming, what is your request? In the past 6 years, I have indeed neglected to pay attention to you, so that Shinyi has been discriminating against you. Whatever you need, I can grant it to you." The old man's cloudy eyes were full of expectation. He wanted to know what kind of needs a child like Gojo Ming, who had basically never been met in his family, would put forward. From the moment Gojo Ming was born, he always had a feeling that Gojo Ming would be the one born to know. If this kind of thing happened in other families, Gojo Ming might be regarded as evil. However, it is not surprising that Gojo Ming was born in the Gojo family and possesses the sacred Six Eyes. He is a person who is born to know. Would you choose to observe the family's secret unlimited technique? Or will you choose a higher status in the family? The old man looked forward to Gojo Ming's needs. However, the next second, Gojo Ming's demand completely shocked the old man, and even Gojo Satoru and Gojo Takai opened their eyes subconsciously. Master, I want Uncle Shun to teach me the way of the sword. Ha! When Gojo heard these words, he subconsciously raised his head, his heart filled with shock. Doesn't Gojo Ming know his identity? He has said before that he is a member of the Gemini Curse faction. The old man also opened his mouth to clarify Gojo Shinyi's identity. Ming, Shinyi also represents another tribe that is hostile to you, did you know? Gojo Ming nodded and shrugged. They are hostile to me. What does it have to do with me? The only thing I want is to learn the way of swordsmanship. As far as I know, Uncle Shun is the best in the family in swordsmanship. Is he enough to teach me? For Gojo Ming, it doesn't matter who teaches him, but the experience taught by a sword master like Gojo Shunichi will improve him even more. For him now, forging his Zanpakuto and improving his swordsmanship level are the two most important things at the moment. Zanpakuto, Gojo Naru Mirai's trump card when it comes to it. The level of Kendo involves unlocking the ability to follow up with White Fighter, Shunpo, and Kido, neither of which can be put down. Therefore, in the future, his energy and time will definitely be spent in the forging house. Instead of finding a teacher to teach you the art of swordsmanship, it would be better to just use a ready-made one. Anyway, the distance between the back gate of the family that Gojo is guarding and the forging house is very close, so he can gain experience in Kendo after being tired from forging. Why not? Gojo Naru's suggestion made both the old man and Gojo Satoru think deeply. After a moment, Gojo Satoru and the old man looked at each other and made a decision to agree. They don't know what Gojo Ming's true purpose is, but for a person who can forge the magical curse tool at the age of 6, there is no need to reject such a small request. Moreover, in the eyes of the old man, he also thought that Gojo Ming forged Sode Shirayuki, so he wanted to try to develop in Kendo. In this way, Gojo Shunichi, who was originally hostile to Gojo Ming, became Gojo Ming's nominal Kendo teacher and actual swordsmanship partner after going through this operation. After solving Gojo Shunichi's problem, the old man also revealed the reason why he brought Gojo Satoru here this time. Chapter 17 Gojo Satoru, my Zanpakuto must be powerful enough. Cursed Tool Yening. I hope this cursed tool can be used by Satoru. The old man made this request to Gojo's boy very straightforwardly. In his opinion, this cursed tool must be on Gojo's boy's body. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. However, what the old man did not expect was that after he made this request, Gojo's boy suddenly looked embarrassed, his eyes glanced at Gojo Ming from time to time, and the air suddenly fell into silence. After being glanced at by Gojo's boy 4 or 5 times, Gojo Ming finally couldn't bear it anymore. Master Zhou Ye, isn't Yanning at your place? The master of the house has spoken, so he will give Yanning to him. Anyway, I will be able to forge other cursed tools in the future. Gojo Ming thought it was Gojo's boy who was reluctant to part with this first-level cursed tool, so he quickly urged him. The head of the Gojo family asked, how could a cursed tool master like Gojo's boy refuse? Hearing Gojo Ming say this, Gojo's boy's expression suddenly became more embarrassed. My lord, the Yanning is gone. What? No more? What do you mean, Zhou Ye? The old man frowned, not understanding the meaning of Gojo Takai's words. Gojo Satoru, Gojo Ming, and Gojo Shinyi also raised their heads at the same time and cast doubtful glances at Gojo Takai. Gojo's boy found that Gojo Ming was so puzzled, and he also realized that Gojo Ming didn't even realize that Yanning was used when forging Sode Shirayuki. He took a deep breath helplessly and described the process of Gojo Ming forging the cursed tool. Then, feeling everyone's eyes turning to him, Gojo Ming scratched his head in embarrassment. After working on it for a long time, it turned out that Yanning disappeared because of herself. After Gojo's voice said this, Gojo Ming indeed recalled that when he was forging, he took out a cold material from the side. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be cursed tool Yanning. Using a first-level cursed tool as a forging material is really a bit of a luxury for me. So, my lord, Yanning has transformed into Sode Shirayuki at this time, so there is no way to leave it to Satoru. After listening to Gojo's voice explanation, the old man nodded helplessly. Although he was not able to help Gojo Satoru obtain a good weapon, the old man felt that it was a gain to understand the forging principle of Gojo Satoru's magical Zanpakuto. Next, he planned to let other cursed tool masters try to see if they could forge a cursed tool like the Zanpakuto by using the finished cursed tool as a material. Moreover, he also felt the brotherhood between Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, and he also believed that Gojo Ming would definitely prepare a cursed tool for Gojo Satoru that best suited him in the future. Children and grandchildren will have their own blessings. Let the younger generations handle these matters themselves. With the departure of the old man, Gojo Satoru's newly suppressed personality was suddenly released. Naru, I also want a Zanpakuto like this, understand? Gojo Satoru directly showed his dominance as an older brother. Although he also likes Sode no Shirayuki's Zanpakuto, after all, this is the equipment that Gojo Ming relies on most for his current survival, and he cannot win over others' love no matter what. Upon hearing Gojo Satoru's request, Gojo Ming rolled his eyes. How can a Zanpakuto be so easy to forge? What the hell are you thinking about, Satoru? Gojo Satoru flashed to Gojo Naru's side in an instant, strangled Gojo Naru's neck with his right hand, and said reluctantly. I don't care if it's good or not, but I just want a Zanpakuto. Do you understand? I want a Zanpakuto with the same special abilities as your Sode Shirayuki. Gojo Satoru, who was almost out of breath after being attacked by Gojo Satoru, quickly patted the arm holding his neck and begged loudly for mercy. Okay, I understand. I will forge it for you, but, Satoru, you must agree to one of my requirements. You can ask for it? Just say it quickly. Gojo Satoru let go of his arms and looked at Gojo Naru expectantly. Gojo took a long breath, twisted his neck, and said seriously. Satoru, I ask you to carry this Zanpakuto with you no matter how powerful you become in the future. Even if you become the strongest Jujutsu master in the future, you must carry it with you. Gojo Ming knew his brother's future. As the representative of the Gojo family, Gojo Satoru is definitely qualified to possess the special grade cursed tool. However, in future battles, Gojo Satoru will basically fight the enemy with bare hands. There is no doubt that because he has become the strongest Jujutsu master in the world, many cursed tools are just a burden to Gojo Satoru. The enemies he needs to defeat using the cursed tool probably don't exist yet. However, no one could have imagined that the most powerful Jujutsu master in the world would eventually be cut in half. In this life, he was reborn in this world and became Gojo Satoru's younger brother. Such a close blood relationship between the two makes it impossible for Gojo Ming to just sit back and watch Gojo Satoru go down the same old path. Therefore, he must correct Gojo Satoru's arrogance from an early age. He wants Gojo Satoru to never let go of his Zanpakuto, just like the god of death in Soul Society. Satoru, can you accept it? Seeing Gojo Naru's suddenly serious expression, the frivolous Gojo Satoru subconsciously stood up straight. He didn't know why Gojo Ming made such a strange request, but he could feel the deep concern from Gojo Ming's words. After thinking carefully for a moment, Gojo Satoru nodded. Ming, I can accept this request. However, I also have a precondition. If I am to carry this Zanpakuto all the time, then this sword must be cool enough and handsome enough. Gojo Satoru's request made Gojo Ming speechless. Sure enough, Gojo Satoru is still the same Gojo Satoru. No matter how old he is, he seems to be developing into the pretender in the future. Gojo let out a long sigh and nodded helplessly. Yes, yes, I will definitely forge an extremely cool Zanpakuto for you. While agreeing to Gojo Satoru's request, Gojo Ming has already begun to think about which Zanpakuto is suitable for Gojo Satoru to use in Soul Society. When the world's strongest Jujutsu master possesses a powerful Zanpakuto. With such a combination, no matter how strong the future Ryaman Sukuna is, they should be unable to defeat Gojo Satoru. Chapter 18 Zenon's Visit, Meeting at Heavenly Restriction. Ming, you have to take care of yourself today. Gojo's boy woke up Gojo Ming early in the morning, and then a team of servants came in and began to wash and dress Gojo Ming. What's going on? The sleepy Gojo Ming looked around in confusion, completely unaware of what day it was. Last night, he and Gojo Shinyi stayed up late fencing, and finally raised their proficiency in Kendo to 80%. Today, he was planning to raise his Kendo proficiency to the maximum level in one go, and then start fighting for free. Why is it that someone is disturbing someone's dreams so early in the morning? I knew you had forgotten, didn't you? I reminded you a week ago that today is the day that the Zenon family and other sorcerer families come to visit. As direct descendants of the Gojo family, you and Satoru have to attend. You two are the real purpose of the Zenon family's visit this time. They just came to see the future of the Gojo family. Gojo Ming's little face was wiped with hot water by the servant, and he instantly came to his senses. Is today the day to meet Zenon? For this future Zenon, who will be the enemy of Gojo Satoru and at the same time, get the title of Sky and Tyrant, Gojo Ming has always had a little expectation in his heart. The carrier of heavenly restriction is an extremely lonely existence in this world. The two of them have never had a chance to meet each other. In this world, the only two losers without any magic power, today, in the Gojo family's mansion, they are finally going to meet. Zenon. Gojo Ming allowed himself to be manipulated by his servant, while thinking about how to connect with Zenon. Today I want to get to know this tyrant of heaven and earth, but I don't know if Zenon's mentality is normal at this time. It shouldn't be that twisted yet, after all. It will still be a long time before Zenon leaves the Zenon family. If possible, we still can't let Zenon and Satoru become rivals in the future. Although Satoru learned the reversal technique through the battle with Zenon Shiji, but the reversal method does not necessarily need to be killed by Zenon Shiji before he can understand it. If Zenon Shiji cut Satoru's throat, he had used Teneboa, which could forcibly cancel the activation of the technique. Then Satoru might have really died in the hands of Zenon Shiji. Then, the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm afraid the line will also change. Zenon will become a killer in the future, but at this time, the Zenon family and the Gojo family are not enemies yet. As long as both parties maintain a good relationship, Zenon may not be unable to become Satoru and his friend. The most important thing is that Zenon Shire has no sense of belonging to the Zenon family at all. If we can introduce a girl from the Gojo family to Zenon Shire might even become Gojo Shire in the future. Just like that, while thinking, Gojo Ming was taken out of the room by Gojo's boy. Outside the forge house, Gojo Satoru was already waiting outside the door. Huh? Satoru, why don't you go in? What are you waiting for outside? Gojo Ming looked confused. Looking at Gojo Satoru, who looked like a porcelain doll, he felt like, oh, they are only 6 years old now. Why should I go in? Should I go in and be manipulated by those women again? Gojo Satoru looked at Gojo Ming helplessly. Looking at Gojo Ming's blue kimono that was exactly the same as his own, a trace of sympathy flashed in his eyes. After Gojo Satoru said this, Gojo Ming suddenly recalled the fear of being controlled by those women just now. He is just a child, and he has to be manipulated, put on makeup, and groomed by these women. It was precisely because he could not resist at all that he emptied his mind and thought about so many things with Zenon. Satoru, your clothes are too cute. Gojo Ming calmed down and complained subconsciously. When Gojo Satoru heard this, he also directly retorted. What do you think you are? We are exactly the same. Even our clothes are the same. If you say I'm pretending, aren't you the same way? After saying this, the two people looked at each other and laughed. Master Wu, Master Ming. We have to get there. Gojo Shinyi came to Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru holding an umbrella. Seeing the large black paper umbrella held by Gojo Shunichi, Gojo Ming realized that light snow was falling outside. On the other side, the main entrance of Gojo's house. A middle-aged man with a sinister face walked into Gojo's house with several people. The group of people were all wearing very formal kimonos with the same ethnic pattern embroidered on them. The visitors are all descendants of the Zenin family. Today, led by the family elder Zenin Fan, they came specially to visit the Gojo family and greet the successor of Six Eyes. Seriously, I wonder if the two Six Eyes of Gojo's family are equally powerful. Two older young men followed Zenin Fan casually. One of them had a scar on his face. He looked the oldest and had a somewhat ferocious appearance. The other person looked indifferent and showed no trace of spirit at all. Janika, so if you want to come here, you can just come by yourself, right? Why do you have to bring me with you? I'm not a Jujutsu master. This time it should be an exchange between Jujutsu master families. I'm just an ordinary person. Zenin really couldn't keep his spirits up. Although he was very curious about Gojo's Six Eyes, he was really not willing to come here to observe it. However, his own brother is also here, so running away like this is not a good idea. Behind Zenin Shi'er, another sinister-looking young man looked at Zenin Shi'er with eyes full of malice. Zenin Shinsuke, the most talented among the younger generation of the Zenin family, is currently only 8 years old and has become a third-level Jujutsu master. This time, one of the purposes of Zenin Fan leading the team to Gojo's house was to let the most talented person in the family see the Six Eyes of Gojo's house. However, this journey is destined to be unpleasant. Zenin Shinsuke is the staunchest mantra-only believer in the Zenin family. For a peer like Zenin Jinji who has no magic power, he feels from the bottom of his heart that Zenin Jinji is a scum that has tarnished the bloodline of the entire Zenin family. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. However, for Zenin Shi'er, Zenin Shinsuke's malice is not at all in his eyes. Regardless of Six Eyes or talent, for Zenin, it is just another life. At his current age, he has already felt the powerful physical body provided by heavenly restriction. If there really was a fight with Zenin Shinsuke, Zenin Shi'er was confident that he would be able to deal with this most talented person among the younger generation of the Zenin family within 10 minutes. Chapter 19 The First Encounter Between Tien, Tyrant, and Six Eyes. Following the Gojo family's waiter into the main hall, Zenin found that a guest had already arrived before them. On one side of the main hall, a girl with a brown bun was sitting with no one around her, looking very lonely. However, this girl acted very calmly. She didn't care about other people's comments and just tasted the snacks on the table casually. On the other side of the girl, a young man was sitting alone behind a table. He looked at the brown-haired girl from time to time, and then the two began to taste snacks at the same time. Strange character. After Zenin entered the main hall, he glanced at the strange duo on the side and ignored them. He went to find acquaintances from the Gojo family and began to learn about Six Eyes. Zenin, and Zenin Shinsuke each entered their own positions under the guidance of the waiter. The entire main hall was crowded with people. Rather than saying this was an exchange, it was more like a gathering between Jujutsu master families. However, among the families present, the Zenin family and the Gojo family were the first, so to the outside world, it looked more like a meeting between the Gojo family and the Zenin family. The waiting time is unbearable, and Zenin felt very bored even 5 minutes after sitting down. After obtaining the waiter's consent, he temporarily left the hall to get some fresh air outside. I would like to ask, Who are the young man and girl sitting across from us just now? It seems that they are also Jujutsu masters, right? Zenon asked casually for information about other people in the hall. As a member of the Zenon family, you will also receive corresponding respect in the Gojo family. Moreover, because the information was not required to be kept confidential, the waiter followed Zenon's question and gave the answer. Today, Lord Iiri Inamitsu came to the mansion to perform a reversal technique treatment on the head of the family. This girl is the daughter of the Iiri family, named Iiri Shoko. The other young man is a distant relative of the Gojo family, Master Okotsu. I heard that he is currently traveling around Neon to improve his knowledge. This time, he also came here specifically to visit Gojo Satoru and Master Gojo Naru. Hearing the waiter's answer, Zenon nodded and lit a cigarette aside. Iiri and Okotsu. Zenon said that he didn't know much about these two families. He had heard of the Iiri family a little bit, and heard that they were famous for their inversion therapy. As for the Okotsu family, he had never heard of it. When did the Gojo family have this distant relative? Zenon thought for a while, then put these two names aside. At least, in his current view, everything about the Jujutsu master has nothing to do with him. If he hadn't been dragged here by his own eldest brother, he really wouldn't want to attend this party. In this way, Zenon walked casually and slowly moved away from the main hall. Fine snow kept falling on Zenon's hair, and he didn't care at all. He looked very relaxed and lazy. The cigarette in his mouth has accumulated a lot of ash, but he has no intention of cleaning it. Just when Zenon was about to turn around and go back, he suddenly saw three figures appearing on another path. A tall middle-aged man was holding an umbrella, and under the umbrella were two identical white-haired children. These should be the two Six Eyes of Gojo's family. It's the first time I've seen them in person. They are still very young indeed. Zenon looked at the backs of Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, held the cigarette in his right hand, took a deep puff, and blew out a smoke ring. However, the next second, the two teenagers under the umbrella in the distance turned around at the same time, and two pairs of blue eyes looked at him at the same time. The cold taste in those eyes made Zenon's heart palpitate. Is this the eye of heaven? Even though I was standing behind them, they could easily spot me. Gojo's Six Eyes should not be underestimated. On the other side, Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming saw Zenon in the distance, and their expressions changed slightly. Master Wu, Master Ming, what's wrong? Gojo stopped when he saw the two of them, and asked with confusion. He just followed the sight of the two people and looked into the distance, but didn't find anything strange. That person just made me feel a little threatened. Gojo Satoru frowned slightly. He could clearly feel that there was no magic flowing on the young man just now, but why could he feel threatened? Ever since he mastered the unlimited technique, he rarely had that threatening premonition. The person just now was not from the Gojo family. Looking at the decorations on the kimono, he came from the Zenon family. Is there such a powerful person in the Zenon family? Gojo Satoru had some doubts in his heart. Next to him, Gojo Ming, who was holding Sode Shirayuki, shook his head helplessly. Unexpectedly, I was involved in the famous scene where Gojo Satoru and Zenon met for the first time. This feeling that was suddenly discovered by Gojo Satoru and himself will definitely be remembered by Zenon. The sight of the eye of the sky is indeed too buggy. In battle, it inherently has a huge advantage. Don't worry, Satoru. Maybe that person will become our friend in the future. I think there will be many opportunities for us to deal with this person in the future. Gojo Ming smiled and joked. This tyrant of heaven and earth is a major enemy of Gojo Satoru, and many people even think that Riko Tenuka, one of Gojo Satoru's most likely CPS, died in the hands of Zenon. Zenon even had a grudge against Gojo Satoru for killing his wife. Of course, these are just some viewers' imaginations, but it has to be said that Zenon sure played an important role in Gojo Satoru's life. It can even be said that Gojo Satoru's future changes, Saiyuja's final change, and the two's final parting ways all started from the astral assassination mission carried out by Zenon Shi'er. Really? It seems that Ming, you have a good impression of that person. From the looks of it, you should also be attending this party. If there is a chance, let's go and get to know each other. Because of Gojo Naru's words, Gojo Satoru's original entanglement suddenly disappeared. Next, the two of them have to face the situation they least like to deal with. Family Gathering. Chapter 20 Iiri, Okotsu, Zenon. Seeing Gojo Shinyi entering with Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming, everyone shut their mouths and stopped talking. This party was so big that the Gojo family even sent out 2 Six Eyes for this event, which also showed that the Gojo family attached great importance to this party. Gojo Ming doesn't mind being the center of everyone's attention. However, at this time, the young Gojo Satoru is not yet the future king of pressure, and he will still be somewhat uncomfortable with this environment. Gojo Naru walked forward silently, shielding Gojo Satoru from other people's eyes. At the same time, his pair of pseudo Six Eyes were also searching the main hall for any familiar faces. Zenon sure. Oh, sitting there. Gojo Ming immediately found the location of the Tyrant of Heaven and Earth. Obviously, this Tyrant of Heaven and Earth currently does not have a very good relationship with other members of the family, even his brother Zenon. The two of them have nothing to say. Zenon fan, oh, I didn't expect that the elder of the Zenon family leading the team this time would be the father of future Zenon Maki and Zenon Mai. This guy is not a good person. They are also twins. The experience between him and Satoru is much better than that of the Mai Maki sisters. Gojo Ming looked at the middle-aged man who was chatting happily with Gojo's twin curse faction, and his expression looked a little gloomy. It really made him feel that there seemed to be no normal people in this Zenon family except Fushiguro Megami. Well, why does this little girl look familiar? Does it look like Iiri Shoko from the future? Let me go, Shoko can even wear buns. This style is very different from his future appearance. If Shoko's current appearance is photographed and shown to her in the future, will it make her feel socially dead? For Shoko, who has always been relatively calm, Gojo Ming has always had some bad taste in his heart, always wanting to see how Iiri Shoko will look panicked in the future. Originally, Gojo Ming thought that Iiri Shoko and Gojo Satoru had known each other since they were in high school at least. Unexpectedly, Iiri Shoko appeared at this party. It seemed that the elders of the Iiri family were treating the head of the family this time, so little Shoko was left alone. If you have a chance later, take Satoru with you to get acquainted with Shoko. Shoko's talent in reversal techniques can be regarded as unique in the entire Jujutsu Kaisen world. If you establish a relationship in advance, if you really encounter any crisis in the future, you might be able to use Shoko's healing techniques. Hey, who is this young man next to Shoko? Why does it look familiar, but I can't remember who it is? It shouldn't be. If there are characters who appear in the main plot, I should be able to remember almost all of them. Gojo Ming's eyes kept focusing on this young man, and at the same time he kept searching for the pictures in his memory, but he couldn't find the place where this young man appeared. So, why do you think it looks familiar? Since he appears here, he must be someone related to the Jujutsu Master family, right? The Kumo family members among the big 3 sorcerer families? Probably not. The only person I am familiar with from the Kumo family is the one who is good at red blood exercises. It's not the Kumo family, is it someone related to Kyoto High School? It didn't seem to be the case. Portraits of Jujutsu masters appeared in Gojo Ming's mind. Finally, when he flipped through the pictures of the 4 special Jujutsu masters, he paused. The 4 great special Jujutsu masters Okotsuyuta. Yes, the young man in front of him looks very similar to the future god of war of pure love, Okotsuyuta. In fact, he is even the grown-up version of Okotsuyuta. In the current timeline, Okotsuyuta has not yet been born, so the identity of the person in front of him can be made clear. This man is Okotsuyuta's father. Gojo Naru raised his eyebrows slightly, his attention completely focused on Okotsuyuta's cheap dad. Today's party is really a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. The strongest six-eyes Jujutsu master in the future, Gojo Satoru. The most physically powerful Jujutsu master killer in the future, the tyrant of heaven and earth, Zenin Shur. Iiri Shoko, the future reversal technique master and the strongest nani. And, the future super Jujutsu master with the most powerful magic power, the father of Okotsuyuta. I should be able to stand on the same level as these people in the future, right? After all, this system is not just for free. While Gojo Ming was lost in thought, Gojo Satoru also followed Gojo Ming's gaze and swept over Zenin, Iiri Shoko and Okotsuyuta. He knew that his younger brother was definitely not an ordinary person, someone who could attract his attention, so naturally he had to pay more attention to him. One man and two women? This tall man seems to have been the one who peeped at us in the garden before. The other man has not been seen before, but the spell in his body seems to be very strong. This girl, looks quite cute. Is she the type Ming likes? Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naruto are the protagonists of the entire party, and their every move will naturally attract the attention of those who come. If Gojo Naru's observation actions were ignored before, then Gojo Satoru's actions were noticed by the Gojo family's twin curse faction. Originally, this time, they were very dissatisfied with letting Gojo Ming attend this party. In their opinion, Gojo Satoru is Six Eyes and the true successor of the Eyes of the Sky, while Gojo Ming is just a pseudo Six Eyes and has no qualifications as a Jujutsu master at all. However, what happened before caused Gojo of the Gemini Curse faction to change his stance instantly, which forced Gojo Seongyan, the veteran of the Curse faction, to think more carefully. Therefore, at this gathering, the Curse faction did not prevent Gojo Ming from appearing. However, they will still try their best to eliminate Gojo Ming's influence on other Jujutsu master families. Before, they were worried about how to distinguish Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naru at the party. Now, seeing Gojo Naru holding a katana in his hand, they were able to distinguish them accurately. Satoru, you look in good spirits today. Gojo Seongyan, as the representative of the Gojo family at this gathering, was also responsible for organizing the entire gathering. His opening directly focused everyone's attention on Gojo Satoru. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.